l-irġiel. Teliqa differenti, però hija teliqa interessanti wkoll. Kienet event sabiħ il-bieraħ, ħadna pjaċir, rajna n-nisa jsuqu l-ewwel darba. Però qabel da kollu nintroduċi lil Simon li kien magħna l-bieraħ ukoll. Edwin kien magħna ma ġast jara biss, jiġifieri illum jitkellem u Edwin naħseb kulħadd jafu diġà. Għal min ma jafx Simon jifhem bil-Malti ma jitkellem iktar bl-Ingliż, però jifhem kollox hux.
Yep.
Tajjeb, u Edwin Malti puru ġek. Tajjeb. It-teliqa tal-lum x'taħseb Edwin?
Inna ma naraw daqsxejn open wheel racing, jiġifieri tkun interessanti daqsxejn. Għax dawn huma karozzi b'saħħithom ukoll. Li naraw, jiġifieri inna ma naraw daqsxejn open wheel racing, iktar qed immorru lej go-karts, lej forsi għax kan ħajru tfal sar ukoll. Kien nisa l-bira kienu bil-Renault Cups il-bira ukoll. Li huma karozzi xorta huma karozzi veloċi, però mhumiex veloċi daqs tal-lum. Tal-lum huma rib Formula 1s ta' early 2000. Jiġifieri ħad tkun interessanti immens. Comparing lap times anka bejnietom ukoll, ħajkun event vera interessanti u looking forward biex naraw x'nu jiġri.
Tajjeb li ngħidulhom illi għax ħriġna out illum tant għandna ħeġġa. Qed nużaw il-pjattaforma rFactor 2 fejn qed nużaw il-karozzi uffiċjali li ħarġu riċenti il-Formula Pro ġo it-trakka tal-Bahrain. Dal-iskop tal-event huwa number one għażilna nies li jiġu ta' spiss fil-faċilità fejn żammejna l-livell ta' kulħadd l-istess biex tkun entertaining. Kif ukoll qed nibnu l-hype għat-tlielaq li ġejjin il-ġimgħa d-dieħla. Il-Formula Pro Cars huma viċin ta' xulxin li ħajkun hemm il-ġimgħa d-dieħla u very very close to their performance, però d-differenza hi li l-magni huma V10s.
Eżattament.
So ħan nisimgħu il-sinfonija li nħobbu naħseb dawn in-nies kollha li jħobbu il-Formula 1, etc. Ġifieri xi ħaġa interessanti. From your side, Simon, I know that you've got a lot to say.
The one thing I was going to say was, whenever you tell me that these cars are the V10s, I immediately just think to those F1 fans who always comment, bring back the V10s whenever there's a mildly boring race. So I'm just like, this is their chance. They have all the opportunities now. Comment it as much as you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's, in my opinion, V10s and the V8s are the best. For sound,
yeah.
You know, I still remember those days where you hear that flyby, not flyby, they're not planes, but, you know.
The scream they do.
Yeah.
Jiena niftakar ukoll meta il-Formula 1 marret l-ewwel darba reġa' ġo Indianapolis. U meta kienu marru l-ewwel darba ġo Indianapolis u kien hemm il-Friday practice session, niftakar li kien hemm kommentaturi Amerikani stess jibdew jgħidu ta' television Amerikani swejri sawa, u jgħidu huma stess minn fejn ħireġ tal-ħoss kollox. Huma kellhom dak ovvjament kien hemm l-IndyCars li huma il-Formula Series tagħhom, il-pinnacle of Formula Series tal-Amerikani. Imma kif appena semgħu il-ħoss tal-Natural Aspirated Engines tal-Formula 1 huma stess qalu da minn fejn ġej dal-ħoss kollox, letteralment jifqalek widnej, kull veri.
Nżgur li jifqaħilek. Tajjeb li tkunu tafu li Edwin huwa wieħed minn nies li naf żmien kemm inni fil-motorsport.
Kważi.
Nagħmlu naqra artikli flimkien u x'tiftakar fejn nagħmlu jitkellem fuq il-magni, eċċetera, u minn hemm Edwin infatti huwa l-persuna li llum ħajtkellem tekniku fuq l-affarijiet, studja trakka, studjajta jew le. Għalhekk għamilna xoffa fuq il-bank biex ma jidhirx hemm moħbi hemmhekk. Simon ukoll ovvjament ħajidħol bil-kliem brillanti tiegħu bl-Ingliż ħajkompli penġi din il-broadcast. Forsi r-reġija tina ftit il-faċilità biex naraw naqra għaddej il-practice bħalissa infatti kif qed intaraw u hemm ukoll kif qed taraw is-simulators mimlijin, kulħadd qed jipprattika, tajnihom setup setjajna setup aħna u tajnielhom hemmhekk qed jillodjaw lilha, ġifieri ma jistgħux ibabsu u jagħmlu li jridu huma, però ħajkollhom aċċess biex jirranġaw il-brake bias, il-brake force, forsi jagħmluh pereżempju 90%, 120 kilos jew inqas jiddependi. U tajjeb ukoll ngħidu illi għalkemm dawn huma nies illi jipparteċipaw frekwenti fil-faċilità tagħna, hemm wieħed minnhom li huwa l-iżgħar fosthom kollha li huwa Aidan Glenville. Aiden huwa li żar hemmhekk, infatti x-xufiera għażilthom jiena mill-performance tagħhom li nara matul il-ġimgħa. U din hija waħda mill-ħafna oħrajn li ġejjin, jiġifieri min ikun interessat nies li jiġu fil-faċilità tagħna serħu raskom li ġejjin ħafna events. Għażilthom biex ikunu equal ta' xulxin, naf li hemm minnu hemm minnu forsi fast iktar minn ħadd ieħor, però hemmhekk qed naraw il-Adrian għaddej jipprepara, anzi mhux jipprepara, tieħu ħsieb dak li qed jiġri hemmhekk, dak huwa llum huwa race director, inselmulu minn hawn forsi xejrinna ftit imma le baqa' sejjer tant kemm hu serju għaddej fix-xogħol. Nesiena din huwa l-persuna li ħoħsib ir-race directions ta' tlielaq kollha hija xi ħaġa li huma fidejh. U llum qed jara li kollox sejjer tajjeb is-setup għadha ġdida kif qed taraw kulħadd għadu jitrenja biex jara il-performance tal-karozza qabel u mbagħad immorru għall-qualifying. So, yes, hija xi ħaġa li qatt ma rajnija għadna, aħna jien personalment, jiġifieri xi ħaġa li ovvjament il-faċilità nfetħet f'Lulju, jiġifieri ma tantx stajna nagħmlu ħafna affarijiet u bdejna minn dis-sena affarijiet ġodda tan-nisa, Simon kommentatur li beda s-sena l-oħra, Edwin sar kważi, mhux kważi, resident illum jikkommenta. Hawnhekk għandna kellna l-Davinja llum ma setax tiġi, so qed naqdu komunità, mhux ġast komunità bimħabba, letteralment. Jekk taraw ir-ritratti tal-bieraħ, kif nispiċċaw tistgħu tgħidu intom stess. X'nagħmlu aħna x'in nispiċċaw.
Yeah, massive group photo.
Yes.
It's very celebratory and very there's this really amazing feeling of just how well acquainted everyone is and how well they get along. It's really, really nice, just a fun atmosphere.
U bħala faċilità wkoll li timpressjonani wkoll Justin illi veru li dawn il-simulator drivers itelqu kontra xulxin u hekk, però f'ċertu championships oħrajn kulħadd titellaq mid-dar u tintuża bħala kulħadd juża xejdula eżattament il-kelma meta inti taqqad kamra tipo kulħadd jidħol fis-server u kulħadd titellaq mid-dar. Mentri hawnhekk li hawn is-sabiħ tagħha dirveri li kulħadd jiġi hawn tgħid kelma, ovvjament għandek tiddiverti wkoll, ittella toħu pjaċir man-nies kulħadd hawnhekk. Fimt veri dik hija waħda mill-iktar affarijiet li hawnhekk taffaxxinani jiena. Mhux kulħadd mid-dar tiegħu, ħadd m'hemm x'inhu jiġri, kulħadd bil-kamera, bl-IP kamera, onesti u kulħadd jgħid id-dar. Fimt?
Ekku.
Li hawn sabiħ hija l-komunità tinġabar kollha f'daqqa qed ikonna tlielaq verament sbieħ. Ġifieri looking forward għallhom, looking forward li naraw dawn is-simulator drivers sa jagħmlu fit-trek tal-Bahrain, fit-trek tal-Formula 1 Bahrain, kif nafuha u nħobbuha it-trek tal-Bahrain. Avoli jiena nħobbu wkoll it-trek tal-Bahrain il-qasira, l-outer lap.
Yes, I remember the Formula 1 race there, and it was just a very, very fun race.
Amazing race, amazing.
Is that the one Sergio Perez won, or was it the other Bahrain race?
Yeah, that's the
it
one.
Was the short one, yeah.
The short one that Perez won, and it was amazing.
Yes.
The cars jumping, because they don't use the outer lap that much. So
yeah,
it
so
was
it's not
a bit
as worn.
bumpy.
Yes, of course, because it's not as worn. There was not as much rubber down on it. It was a really, really fun race.
Exactly. And
I also remember George Russell losing that race twice.
Exactly.
Oh,
it was
kid.
a heartbreak. And the thing is, for me, and I think I can speak for everyone who watches Formula 1, that the diver of the day was him. It was him. No one else.
I still say it's a toss-up between him and Perez, for the simple reason that I wanted both of them to win.
Exactly.
I wanted them to cross the line at exactly the same point because I wanted both of them to win. And
to win on your last race as a Formula 1 driver, at that time, was his last race.
It was, yeah.
To win his first race on his last race appearance, coming from last place as well, that was an amazing. It was both stories were amazing. George Russell, if he would have won it, it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But obviously, Perez winning that outer Bahrain, it was amazing as well. So
yes, absolutely. Now, speaking of Bahrain, obviously, currently F1 Formula 1 is testing there right now. Have you been keeping up? Have you been seeing the new cars? How they've been performing?
I saw actually because today it was the last day of testing, and I have the F1 TV subscription,
right,
so I see it. And I saw the whole day today actually. I was in the garage working, but I still had my TV on and watched everything. And Well, jumping obviously from simulator racing right now to Formula One, I think,
Yep.
well, Ferrari are looking good.
Yes.
They have a
sure.
strong car, and also Red Bull, they showed their true pace today at the last hour, at the last half an hour actually.
I haven't seen anything from today yet, so I did not know that. What I did know, my favorite story so far is Kevin Magnussen topping the timesheets yesterday.
Oh, that was
late at night after being called up, 12 hours before? It's incredible.
It was an incredible story, but obviously you have to look at it realistically.
Yeah,
And obviously, they do have a good car actually, Haas, and also they have a good driver in Kevin Magnussen because let's not forget Kevin Magnussen did miracles with the Haas.
Yeah, that he did.
But the Ferraris are looking good, and also Red Bull. I would rather be in a Red Bull actually than in the Ferrari because I think the Ferrari are second best actually. Red Bull seem more of a complete package. Mercedes are trying loads of new things and loads of new innovations.
Mercedes brought out that side pod, and everyone just kind of went, "Oh wow!"
And
everyone was so shocked. It was incredible.
Either they're sandbagging a bit,
Oh, for
which obviously they are
They
sandbagging,
absolutely
but
are.
I think they are sandbagging as well because they have some trouble adjusting the car to its zero side pod. My best guess is that there is still adjusting because the Mercedes, when you look at it on board, I think
It's very unstable.
it's unstable and it's porpoising. I think the most car that's porpoising, it's the Mercedes Benz because they jump around.
They
a
really
lot.
do, yeah.
And I think it's the worst car for porpoising.
Could be. Like I said, I haven't been looking too carefully at that, but something I know is that today in our race we're not going to see any of that, which is,
Oh, of course not.
on one hand, it's a good thing. On the other hand, it would be really funny to see a bunch of virtual cars just bouncing down the Bahrain racetrack.
We're going to see a great race actually today because I'm looking forward for qualifying because these are some of the fastest simulator races we have here.
For sure. And that's the thing. Justin said he essentially handpicked people of a very similar pace. So I'm hoping, especially when eventually we cut to practice and then qualifying, we're going to see these like really close lap times.
Exactly.
And hopefully, from what I see, is different people battling for
the lead.
P1.
For the lead.
Like
Exactly.
yesterday we had the female event, which was a very, very entertaining race, but there were really only two drivers who could compete for the who could compete for the first place because they're the ones that had the most experience.
Okay.
Jazz had most experience in esports racing, while Ella had more experience in physical go-kart racing.
Okay.
I'm hoping that we see something different today. Obviously, the way racing goes, you can never really tell who's going to be on top, who's, these drivers are currently practicing, as you can see. Any one of them could really have just gotten to grips with that car faster than the others and could dominate. Obviously, we never want domination. As the new Formula One regulations prove, domination kind of kills the sport.
Exactly, it kills it. And it kills also the event that's happening here today. We want close racing.
Exactly.
4 or 5 drivers battling out to the last lap. That's what we are here for, actually.
The battles don't necessarily have to be for the lead, but we just want close racing, and naturally we want clean racing. Here at World Pro Racing, we have 2 FIA accredited stewards in Adrian Fagalla and George Muscat, who are going to be making sure that all the moves and the way the drivers race is very clean and very above board, so that it's kept fair and safe.
Exactly, Simon. I'm really looking forward, actually. We can't see the practice sessions, I think. We never saw the practice sessions.
Not yet.
During events or not?
Yes, we usually do. We cut to the last few minutes of the practice session.
Okay.
Yeah, just because the last few minutes is really where it's at, because that's when the drivers are going to be having those final push laps. The track's going to be at its fastest for the session, so that you can kind of start getting a feel for how qualifying might stack up. And sometimes you still get shake-ups and surprises. That's just how racing goes. But yeah, practice is a very good indicator of where people might be and how confident.
Exactly. And with the frozen setups, you can't really do anything. You just on brake bias and that's it.
Yeah,
and tire choice and fuel load, and that's it.
Exactly. So the driver's skill level is going to be really, really at odds here. Obviously, like I said, because it's a 45-minute race, the way they plan their fuel loads and their race strategy is going to matter a lot. We could see some drivers maybe struggling towards the beginning part of the race, only to be faster later. And you've commentated with me along some of these longer races. What do you think would be the best strategy for drivers? Do you think it's better to go equal fuel for the first and second stint, or do you think it's better to put all your fuel in right at the start and just save time in the pit stops?
It depends, Simon, because if you are an aggressive driver, you could heat up your tires really quickly. So you might need a lighter car, actually, because with the fuel load in it, the car is obviously heavier, so it heats up the tires more.
Definitely.
So you maybe want to go, maybe you want to, if you're not a conservative driver, an aggressive one, maybe you want to go for a two-stop strategy, put some fresh tires on, and go on with the race. Maybe if you are a conservative driver, then you might want to do a longer first stint, maybe. So those tires will obviously they won't wear out as quickly as the other drivers because you are conservative. Do only one stop, and then put another fresh set of tires for the last stint, and then you can get on with it. And so right now we're watching okay, it's us again.
You can very seldom have us remember.
So that's the thing is, Bahrain is not good historically on tire wear.
Yeah.
So we need to be really good in judging what tires you're going to put on the car, and obviously how much conservative are you going to be. So
I will say, for a 45-minute race, a two-stop is very unlikely unless something goes wrong.
Exactly.
What I do think, from what we've seen from the many races we've commentated over together, I do think the safest strategy is to put half the fuel load into the car and come in right in the middle of the race, change your tires and fuel, and then continue. Because if you go for that longer strategy where you put all your fuel in the car and just try to save time in the pit stops, if you then make a mistake in that pit stop,
Of course.
your entire strategy is wasted.
Exactly.
Whereas with the half and half, you have a bit more leeway. Obviously, a mistake is going to be costly regardless.
Regardless.
But it's better to have that leeway knowing that you're not going to be, essentially by nature, the slowest car on the field at the beginning of the race.
Exactly. I agree with you, Simon. And also, a good strategy is as well, maybe you can go shorter on the first stint and get on with your race. But obviously, we don't want to see that because that also might be in the way of the leader just disappearing away.
Yeah.
We don't want that, but and it's highly unlikely as well. So I think it's likely more than that it is what you said actually. That the drivers do half the race, some maybe 55% of the race with one load, and then do the other half of the race with the second stint half of the race.
Yeah. See, if I was racing personally, I would do what you just suggested, which would be pitting as early as I can, and then just kind of running my own race, focusing on just managing the race.
Exactly.
Yeah, as you see on the screen currently, this is our race adjudication room where our FIA accredited stewards Adrian Fagalla and George Muscat will be judging the races from. As you can see, we have many screens, a very big setup, and just over there in the top left of your corner, you can see some of the cars on track. A little teaser for what we're going to see in just a few moments. Edwin, when you're looking at this and you have this massive setup, how technical do you think our stewards have to be when an accident happens or when two cars crash?
Well, they have to be actually because, and also you need to check when the stewards, because one time I was there and I was checking out an incident between two cars.
Right.
And what they do is really impressive, Simon, because they check out both drivers' brake, how much force they're applying the brake, how much force they're applying the accelerator, is obviously they're accelerating, how much steering force they're putting in and steering angle. So they know what the other driver is doing. For example, if someone bumps into another one, they would know how much braking force the driver behind is applying the brakes. If he's applying the brakes less than the guy in front, then obviously there's no other point and there's no other discussion. It's the guy behind. But if the guy behind tries all of his strength on the brake pedal and maybe hits the other driver, they could say, oh, okay, it's a racing incident. He tried not to mess him up. But it's an amazing, actually. It's the facility here is you will never find anywhere in Malta, actually.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. I've seen them doing the adjudication before, but I've never actually seen them go into that much detail. I've only seen it in passing as I was walking through, because most of the time when I'm here, I'm up here in front of the camera.
Oh, exactly. No, I just went one day when there was a race. I don't think you were here actually. There was a last lap incident, and after I went to the adjudicating room and saw. Obviously, I stepped behind. I don't even know about these things. But I saw the adjudicating room, and the way they judged the incident it was like an FIA investigation actually, because they really went into detail, steering angle, braking force, and it just shows the amount of work that it is involved. While we are here sitting down. and the drivers driving as fast as they can. The amount of work behind the scenes is simply amazing.
Well, we got so easy, don't we? Just sitting here in a nice little desk, the nice studio lights making us look all pretty and things. We don't do anything.
Well, let's hope the direction will soon catch up with the practice session, because I'm really looking forward to just hearing the noise and checking out some of these drivers' capability, actually, Simon.
Definitely, I think that's what I want to see as well. It's just like, obviously, we've been talking about these drivers, but we haven't actually got to see them race yet. So I want to cut back in and see who looks comfortable, who's maybe struggling a bit to get to grips with their car, and how the people who are struggling are going to progress as the session and as the qualifying goes on.
And the thing is also, Simon, these are an 800 bhp cars, open wheel cars. So they're like sort of baby Formula 1 cars, obviously, because a Formula 1 car produces 950 more or less, close to 1,000 brake horsepower. So these are 200 brake horsepower less. And they're simply, they're fast. They're really fast, these cars.
Absolutely. And something interesting about these races specifically, one in particular, we have a 12-year-old racing today.
Exactly.
Yeah, his name's Aiden, and as Justin mentioned earlier. If you're watching at home, you might be able to see most of the races here are, I'd say, in their early 20s probably, maybe a bit older, maybe a bit younger. But to have a 12-year-old racing, and to know that you've been handpicked as someone who's on their level, that must be intimidating for everyone else.
Because when you think about it, okay, Justin told me to come, and the other drivers are as fast, sort of, as me, or close to me. And then you see a 12-year-old there.
That must be a real kick to the ego as well.
Exactly, because we know how 12-year-olds are. They're really fast, Simon.
Yeah.
We've commentated races together a lot.
Yeah.
And when you see these young kids coming from a young age, racing on a simulated race, they're really fast, Simon, and they could be a really kick in the teeth for some of the other drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where it's not often when you see someone so young and you can genuinely say, oh, they're on the same level as people almost double their age. But
Exactly.
I really hope that we see him. I think he's the person I'm most excited to see how he stacks up and how he races. Because if he is genuinely on pace with all the others, it will be really, really impressive simply because of how young he is.
And this is the facility right now. It's live video right now. Look how amazing this facility is, with 3 screens every simulator. And, well, you can see almost everything here, Simon.
Yeah, no, this is an amazing camera angle. So props to whoever's been kind enough to get it for us. But yeah, this facility, we currently have 10 racers filling up all 10 of our sim rigs. And there's nothing like the feeling in the room when you can just look from one side of the wall to the other and see 10 people completely focused on their screens. It's honestly incredible.
It was exactly what I was saying before, Simon, because when you do these kind of events previously, what we used to do is we stayed at home and go into a lobby, which is created by the server who decides to do this race. And you go in the lobby and you stay at home and obviously connect via internet into the lobby. Nowadays, with this facility, you're all here. And that's an amazing thing, actually, for us, Simon, because we're here, we're doing this commentary for this event, and we're all here in one big facility. So
definitely, it is genuinely really fun. And you talked about how nice it is to have everyone in one room, which I fully agree with. But the ability to have these online lobbies means that World Pro Racing can host so many international events, which we've done 100 times. Like if you think back to the end of last year when we had our HyperX Open Series, so many races done with drivers in 5, 6, 7, 10 different countries. It's I think in some of our larger races we had over 30 drivers, all from different countries racing against each other. And I think that's the beauty of online racing.
Exactly.
And it's also the way it simulates real life racing as well, because it is this almost melting pot of different cultures and different communities, which is just genuinely really exciting to see.
And meeting other people here as well.
Of course.
So it's just an amazing facility that we have. It's the only kind in Malta that we have this facility. Hopefully we can catch up with practice sessions soon, and maybe we can see some onboard camera shots as well, because I'm really looking forward to see what these drivers can do during practice, qualifying, and also obviously during the race.
Yep, 45 minutes the races. And I think the practice sessions have been going on for a while already. It's gonna, I think in total have an hour or so.
Exactly.
It's going to be very difficult on them physically. We were talking about this a little bit yesterday, but esports, even though they are playing a game, it is a very physical sport.
Oh, of course.
It's tough on the shoulders, tough on the back. You're sitting down for a long time, and also have to really use your muscles when you're turning the steering wheel. We were talking yesterday about force feedback and how even the pedals have give to them. So sitting down for that long, it is going to test them physically.
Yeah, it is going to test them physically, and obviously the forces that you get from these cars into your hands, well, it's just an amazing thing.
Well, I've currently been given the lap times of the current practice session, and Daryl Martinelli is currently leading the way on a 1 minute 33 ahead of Russell Camilleri, Ruben Frendo, Mickey Mittick, Aiden, who the 12-year-old is currently in 5th place, so right in the middle of the pack, so good job to him. Jonathan Navarro is in 6th ahead of Beppe De Bono, Ivan Grishti, Carl Cremona, and Antonio Chaparra. So looking at the lap times, there is a bit of a gap between many of the drivers. Like between first and second, between first and last, there is about 6 seconds, which is not terrible. It is a big gap, but it's not a terrible gap. Like I think as the drivers get more comfortable, that will close and close. Mm-hmm. But looking between the top two, only 3/10, which is very exciting.
Exactly. That was exactly what you were talking about previously, Simon. You told me immediately the practice sessions sometimes, not always, but sometimes determine what is going to happen during the race and qualifying, obviously. So
definitely, and obviously there's 10 minutes left of practice to go, so there's no guarantee this is going to be the qualifying or the race order. But this is what I was saying. You do start to get these ideas of who's really got a grip of the car. Between second and third, there's about just over a second and a half. So
exactly,
I do think that Darren Martinelli and Russell Camilleri are the two drivers who, at this moment, probably seem to have gotten grips of the car fastest.
Exactly,
the setup's working for them. They've got that rhythm going in the Bahrain circuit. So.
And Russell Camilleri actually right now did the fastest first sector with a 28.3, whilst Daryl Martinelli fastest sector was at 29.7. So that's a good second and a half on Daryl Martinelli from Russell Camilleri. So that's an amazing first sector from Russell Camilleri.
And as you say that, Ruben Frendo hasn't improved on his time. He's now in 3rd place, only 1.2 behind the leader.
And look at Beppe De Bono. Look at Beppe De Bono. This will be an amazing lap from Beppe De Bono because
he's currently he's gone faster than his personal best in the first sector and his fastest second sector out of anyone so far. We're just waiting to see how he does in his 3rd sector.
And also we see, and also we can check out as well Russell Camilleri, who did the second sector was it was really poor actually, 42.7 against the 41.2 of Beppe De Bono, who is now jumped from 7th to 4th place. So Beppe De Bono in 4th place with 1.3 seconds adrift from the leader, who is Daryl Martinelli.
That was a very good lap from Beppe De Bono. Again, he's in that situation where he's got people around him to race close with. Specifically, Ruben Frendo now has a very similar pace to him based on that last lap. But there is still that little bit of a gap to the top two, which he was going to want to find a way to close.
No, but the gap is closed as well, Simon. Beppe De Bono is 1.3 on adrift from there. So the gaps are going down a bit. This is we were saying. As soon as they get the grips of this car, these cars are fast. You need to get the grips of them, otherwise you cannot do a fast lap. Actually.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, if again, I know we're not actually seeing the drivers race yet, but if you had to guess who might be, let's say you were a betting man in Vegas, who would you put money on to be? Let's say your top 3, as it's. It feels bad to judge who's going to win right now, but let's say your top 3.
Well, top 3 actually, I think they're the same as they are right now. Simon, I would pick Daryl, Russell, and Ruben Frendo as my top 3 actually.
Fair enough. I think currently I'd have to agree, but we're gonna words are difficult. We are currently going to the word I was trying to get was currently. We're currently going to cut to a very short ad break. So when you come back, we'll be me and Edwin once again commentating over practice, so don't join us again. Hello, welcome back. We are currently in the middle of our qualifying session. Unfortunately, we're having a few technical issues behind the scenes, which is why the qualifying session has started, and myself and our dear friend Edwin here have not been able to commentate. As it goes on, I believe we're still trying to iron out a few bugs, so we'll be with you as much as we can, but obviously, if we apologize that the broadcast is not up to standard. But hopefully, as we iron out the bugs, we'll be able to get everything sorted. Edwin, we're seeing here Ivan Grishchi in 8th place. The qualifying session, we've been following it along idly by ourselves. It's a very close session with Beppe De Bono, who was kind of in the mid-pack during the practice session until literally the final lap where he jumped 4 tenths ahead of everyone else. He's once again on that form, now 3 tenths ahead of Daryl Martinelli. How do you think he's going to stack up as the qualifying session goes on? We have about 5 minutes left to go.
Well, we saw his last flying lap. Actually, it was an amazing flying lap, Simon. We were looking at the time screens, and it was purple sectors everywhere. So this is Daryl Martinelli right now, who's currently in second place, going wide there, going wide and losing a lot of time. And unfortunately, all the time he got from the first sector, which was purple as well, he lost it actually all in the second sector. Daryl Martinelli right now going down the back straight to his final corner. Beppe De Bono is still currently leading the pack. And to answer your question, Simon, what an amazing lap by Beppe De Bono, who got the grips of the car. He was actually in 7th place at one point. He went to 4th place and then jumped up everyone to 1st place. So I think he got the grips of this car more than anybody else.
Yeah. Currently, now we're now watching Jonathan Navarro. He's in 7th place at the moment, but he's 1.3 seconds up on his first sector split time. So if he manages to keep that form through, he could jump maybe to around 5th or 6th, where Aidan Glanville is around at the moment, which would be a great improvement for him. You know, solidly mid-pack, could set him up very well for the rest of qualifying, and if he does qualify in that position for the rest of the race.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he lost a lot of time, actually 2.5 down on the leader, Beppe De Bono. So this lap might not actually do anything for him, and he might just stay there in 7th place. But even Ruben Frendo is improving his time as well. 7 tenths of the leader, Beppe De Bono. So right now we're looking at him. The lap times are improving, and we're going to see, I think, one amazing race, actually.
Yeah, and this is absolutely has nothing to do with the racing, but this car looks gorgeous. Alpine, this is how you do a pink liveried car. Take notes.
It does look beautiful, and it combines actually the current Formula One cars that we are having today. As we say that Beppe De Bono actually lost control of his car, and also with Antonio Chappara, who was last and who was last on the practice sessions, almost 7 seconds away, as we say that.
He does seem to be struggling.
He does.
Someone who's not struggling. Russell Camilleri is currently purple in the first sector. He is 7 tenths down on his sector 1 split, so he might struggle to improve. But fastest second sector is a very good. Actually, no, he does improve. He goes.
He does improve.
I believe he stays in his 4th place, but the gap has now calmed down just a little bit to 7.8 tenths.
And this is Aidan Glanville, who is currently the youngest driver on the grid with 12 years old. I think Simon,
he is 12 years old.
So 12 years old and 5th position. You might think a lot of understeer on that car. Unfortunately, he has a lot of understeer. He just turned the wheel and the car wouldn't do anything. Simon, you saw it on board. When he turned the wheel, the car just struggled to get it just struggled to grip on the front. And obviously he's in his outlap, so he needs to get some tire temperature, as we say it again. He's struggling actually to turn the car into the corner, but it's his outlap, so he needs to warm up the tires and brakes as well.
Definitely. If you're going to make a mistake, you're going to struggle with understeer. You want to do it on the outlap. But yeah, as he's going to start his lap pretty soon, but we'll cut to Mickey Mitic. I really hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I don't think I am.
No, I think it's Mitic.
Giving us a car that very much looks like the 2003-2004 Spiker? Is that... I am remembering my car. It's either the Spike or the Arrows that had an orange livery. It's one of them. They look very similar.
They do. Oh, that's one mistake you don't want to do, actually. I mean, the car just bounced on the curbs over there, and it shoots you off.
Yeah. He's giving us his best Gymkhana impression there. Like, he spun very nicely around the bollard. But yeah.
Problem for Mickey Mitic is that he did a personal best sector 1, so all the time is lost right now
Yeah.
because this lap will be actually aborted.
And the thing is, there's only a minute and a half left of qualifying. There isn't too much time to make up for those mistakes as he runs wide again. So unfortunately, I believe the lap time would have been cut anyway. But yeah,
Yeah, if he
Beppe
gets
De Bono still 3 tenths ahead of Darren Martinelli, who is in turn another 4 tenths ahead of Ruben Frendo, more or less. And here is our current provisional pole sitter. He's not improving on this lap time. He's 5 tenths down. So as the session comes to a close, maybe the drivers are struggling a bit.
And I think also they're trying to find the limit also for the race, because the race is much different than the qualifying. Simon, as we always say it, qualifying is one thing, racing is another thing, Simon.
At the end of the day, like all this practice and all this qualifying, when it comes to the race, they're going to have much heavier fuel loads.
Of course.
So they're going to have to essentially spend the first 2-3 laps readjusting their braking points, readjusting the way their turn-in points. As you see, Aidan Glanville is currently 7 tenths up in the first sector.
He's down, but he did a personal best, but
unfortunately, yeah.
he lost more time in the second sector as well, Simon.
Yeah, if he has a really good third sector, he could maybe be challenging Mickey Mittick for 5th place, but overcoming 6 tenths is a massive tall order in one sector. Again, talking of really pretty cars, this green, delightful.
That's green. Green looks more like an Aston Martin, actually.
Yeah.
Because, and then he did jump Aidan. Aidan did jump Mikey Mittick.
Yes,
Mickey
he did.
Mittick.
So yeah, he did. He did have a. We said it was difficult to do it to make that kind of gain in one sector, but he went and did it.
And he has also his final run as well, because there are only the session is over, and he did not. I think
he crossed the line in time.
He crossed the line in time. Exactly. There was no checkered flag, so this lap will count from Aidan Glanville. Let's hope as he rounds up turns 4 and 5. Let's hope he has a good sector split here. So unfortunately, it was almost
9 tenths down. Again, as we saw, he can make up time. Like he lost a lot of time in the second sector last time. So if he can have a cleaner sector, he might be able to gain back some of it. And we've already seen him improve in the third sector. So maybe if there's more time to find there, he could challenge for a slightly higher position.
That's another mistake. That's it. That's lap gone for Aidan Glanville. Unfortunately, Carl Cremona, he's doing good sector times as well, because he went green in sector 1 and green in sector 2. So both of those sectors are personal best.
He's 5'10". Wow, he jumped to the 5th place. That's a massive improvement on his time.
What a good job, Carl Cremona. So he's 7 tenths. No, sorry, he did an up time of 1:34.5 there, so he's 1.9 seconds off the leader. But the current, the first 4 drivers, Simon, they're about.
You say within a second. If you look at Ruben Frendo and Rustin Camilleri, 2 thousandths of a second.
Exactly,
that's
2,000. That's what we call close racing.
Yeah, here is Ruben Frendo. On his brand new lap time, the qualifying has another minute, so I assume the drivers will give another minute as time goes, or our time is wrong.
Expired the time, actually. In fact, the system is ready, as you can see from the system.
There we go.
So the session has now ended, and they have a not very, actually, because it's going to be, I think, longer than usual, the break, because we have to fix some issues in the the systems. In fact, we managed to put another camera just to show at least the qualifying as usual.
That's good.
Each and every event, there's always something new cropping up about issues.
I mean, that's the thing with live video. Something goes wrong.
Yeah,
it goes wrong live in real time. So
I'm used to it. So as you can see, I'm not sweating or anything. Just was there behind the scenes, solving the problems. I think the drivers probably just finished from the simulator, and as you can see, there they are, taking their deserved break, as we could see from the timing. I'm going to change a bit to the Maltese viewers as well, because Simon, you took over and you just let it go.
Look, my influence, my power, it's.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I had your accent, by the way, so it was good to commentate in English. I'm checking a bit the results, if the system has loaded everything.
Maltese.
Yes, in fact, I'm going to switch right now and checking our riżultati. U ħannaraw ftit jekk is-sistema tilodjax kollox bħala riżultat. Infatti qed nara illi jekk min issir żball eżatt, infatti dan il-ħin Russell Camilleri kien għamel ħin ta' 1:34.6 ma nafx eżatt x'ħin għamel illum qed niċċekkja ftit in the meantime waqt li tillowdja s-sistema x'ħinijiet kienu għamlu qabel għax huma dawn huma nies li kif għad diġà ġew qabel hawnhekk ovvjament kellhom practice sessions matul il-ġimgħa qabel illum. So għadni qed nistenna s-sistema tillowdja infatti eżatt għadha mal-lowdjaġġ kemm nirrifrexxjaw ftit għax għandna sistema heavy u ddum biex tillowdja ftit mhux ħażin. In the meantime, il-drivers għandhom il-ftit break, ovvjament, li huwa mistħoq għax kienu ilhom sija għaddejjin. Jiena personalment ma rajt xejn. Ġifieri, Edwin and Simon, you have to tell me what was been going on. So
It's been a
I
pretty
know
good
a bit
qualifying
of
session.
what I was hearing, everything, but at the same time, my mind was somewhere else trying to fix an issue.
Of course, of course.
What are your predictions?
Well, it's kind of interesting. I think Darren Martinelli and Beppe De Bono seem to be most confident in their cars, I think. I believe, yeah, Ruben Frendo and Russell Camilleri were not too far behind. I think in the end they were about 7/10 behind, which it is a gap, but it's not a big enough gap that a mistake in a race can't solve. So I think there's 4 drivers who could definitely be somewhere in the hunt for a race win. What do you think, Edwin?
Well, I agree with you actually, Simon. But the thing is as well, we saw a lot of mistakes during qualifying sessions, so and practice sessions as well. But so you might not want to do those mistakes again during the race because the field, okay, is not packed and close, but one mistake could lead to the opponents just overtaking you.
Definitely, 45 minutes is such a long race. If you do make those mistakes, especially if you make them early on, well, I say that you want to make those mistakes early on so you have the time to make up for it. At the same time, if you do make the mistake early on, you're on the back foot right from the off.
Exactly.
So ideally, you never want to make a mistake and you just be perfect.
Exactly.
Human beings typically aren't perfect aren't perfect beings. So it's not going to happen. There are going to be mistakes. There are going to be little bumping and touching, especially in the first couple of laps when they're so close together.
And also the start will be crucial as well. The start
Definitely.
and the first corner as well. First corner and also the run up to turn 3 and 4. So those will be 2 corners that we need to keep an eye on actually.
I would also include 10-10 in that, which is the off-camber, like really long turn leading onto the back straight. That's going to be, someone outbrake themselves there, they could cause a big accident.
A big one,
We hope we don't see, obviously. We always want clean racing, but first 2 laps, definitely a possibility.
Yes.
I'm still loading a bit the system now. They are having their break. We have around 15 minutes to, start to focus because it's a long race for them. They never did such long races, and having such car, which is not easy, that car. I don't think that you have tried it.
We have
not. We're still talking in English. I mean,
my power continues.
Yeah, we need to switch a bit Maltese. That's why we're broadcasting onto TVM Sport and our social media, also for the local viewers. I know that most of the population understands English, but we're Maltese.
Let my power lead again. Justin, تكلمنا بالمالتي.
Yeah.
This is why I do English.
You heard him.
Unfortunately.
Sakemm jilodjaw is-sistema tar-riżultati, kulħadd ra r-riżultati x'inhuma, nistgħu naraw ukoll peress għandna statistika hawnhekk li mhijiex pubblika nistgħu naraw aħna biss, però għal xi raġuni mhijiex tillodja nistgħu naraw ħafna affarijiet li ħataraw intom stess ukoll waqt it-tellieqa. Pereżempju l-konsistenza li qegħdin dak il-ħin, il-fuel li użaw, ovvjament bħalma naraw tliela oħrajn hemm barra. Dak huwa s-sabiħ ta' simulation racing illum illi nistgħu naraw id-data kollha. U aħna bekk għadna iddilejjajna b'xhur il-website biex inkunu nistgħu minkomplu nsaħħu l-website tagħna li xort għadna ma wasalniex fejn nixtiequ, però l-website ħadd il-launch dal-waqt infatti għandna developers qegħdin jittestjaw l-aħħar fażijiet illi baqa' għall-website. Ġifieri għalhekk kienu dawk id-delays kollha, eċċetera. Però anke intom waqt tkunu qegħdin tikkommentaw ħataraw id-data hemmhekk li għamlilkom fuq l-screens biex kunu tistgħu tagħtu u tkun iktar colorful il-kommentarju tagħkom. M'għandkom l-ebda bżonn ta' għajnuna għax naf il-motorsport ħobbu u as soon as I told you, I don't know why I switched to English again, eżatt kif qedlek illi ħansuqu vitens għadna xatli. What do you tell me? Yes, let's bring back the V10. So
Here's the thing, I don't personally believe that. I think the current Formula One cars are fine. It's just racing, enjoy the racing. But I understand the fan base as a whole in Formula One has a real obsession with the V8 and the V10 cars, which is understandable most of the time. Not always, some of the times.
najt waħda r-reġija jollu ftit il-volum għax ma din nisimgħu xejn.
Risposta memmek ukoll.
Eżatt, jiena aħna dak is-sabiħ tal-live. If you want to say it, just say it. Irridu nollu iktar għax mex nisimgħu. Iva, kull ma baqa' qisu ftit inqas minn 8 minuti fejn irridu insolvu problema. In the meantime. So, ħanara jekk ir-riżultati il-loadjawx tal-qualifying, però for some reason għadu mal-loadjax, infatti għandna l-practice session biss, mhux għax mal-loadjax, però għadu qed jissinkja l-affarijiet, niċċekkja ftit.
It's always like this, isn't it, with technical issues? There's never just one, it's always a handful, and it had to attack all at once, and suddenly everything's gone slow.
Lekku, sakemm jillowdjom ħajkolli problema min-naħa tiegħi, però intom tafu il-prestazzjoni ta' kull xufier wieħed. Infatti, nistgħu naraw naqra il-xufiera qabel jibdew, nista' forsi mmur dawra jennieħu naqa' kummenti minn għandhom baqa' ftit minuti x'taħsbu. In the meantime qed naraw li kollox sew Ruben għaddej hemmhekk, qed naraw naqra tens jidher, hemmhekk naħseb jew għandu bżonn imur naqa' sat-toilet. Jiġu dak l-eċitament fil-ħodu, fil-ħodu jien, qabel ir-race jew dak l-eċitament jien tiġrili meta jkun hemm xi ħaġa so exciting, mhux li tkun eċitat fis-sens jekk tibża jew hekk, però races bħal daw in-nies hemm barra ma jafux kemm daw it-tliela għalkemm jgħid ġo skont kif jgħidu n-nies biċċa logħba, il-feeling hemm ikun. Nista' ngħid jien meta kont nikkompeti qabel nipprova nikkompeti llum m'għadniex, però meta kont nikkompeti b'mod professjonali kemm jista' jkun, mhux professjonali bħala imħallas biex insuq, għax dik il-kelma professional means that you are paid, that's your career, that's your job. Tagħmel minn kollox, fitness, toqgħod moħħok kemm tistreċċja, ma tixrobx alkohol ġurnata qabel għax jaffettwa xorta. So hija xi ħaġa li nippuxxjaw ħafna u l-dawn in-nies għalhekk għamilni għad l-event mhux biex hekk għamilna event for entertainment only, ridnihom qed intellaw il-valuri, mhux valuri, il-livell ta' xufiera ġodda fil-pajjiż. Hawn ħafna xufiera ġodda li u nies li ilhom isuqu hemm barra, però qed jibżgħu jidħlu fil-competition. Ngħidilhom minn hawnhekk, tajjeb kemm intajjeb ma tiġix tikkompeti, tajjeb għal xejn, letteralment.
Yeah, that's very true.
Issek jekk inti tajjeb u tittoqgħod tikkompeti publics online u tuħu pjaċir it's up to you. Però jekk tikkompeti u tasal fil-motorsport mhux just e-sports biss, hemm barra f'livell internazzjonali. Nista' ma niqafx insemmi n-nies li telgħu minn sim racing u qegħdin illum isuqu hemm barra, so jiddependi minnkom. Għandna faċilità tistgħu tiġu tikkompetu online mid-dar, għax għandkom għalfejn tiġu hawn meta jkollna open events, so min-naħa tagħhom huma jonsu. Anyway, suppost naħseb faċilità naħseb kulħadd jgħid bil-qiegħda, ħanaraw naqra li kollox okay, in the meantime ħanara jekk ovvjament ħajkonna nġebdu ftit il-break sakemm naraw li hemm il-problema min-naħa tal-broadcast direction hija lesta, ħalli nkunu nistgħu mbagħad ngħaddu għar-race, forsi konna bżonn nġebdu ftit bi ftit minuti it-telli mbagħad nirristartjaw is-server. So nħalli f'idejkom biex tkomplu titkellmu ftit u timlewli, ħalli nkunu nistgħu naraw illi kollox jamet naraw l-Antonio ħajinża, da preparax baqalu ftit minuti u lest biex ġifieri f'kelma waħda lest li ħajibda jħorġ l-lara. 45 minutes mhijiex ċajt qed ngħidilkom bil-Formula Pro ġol Bahrain bil dik il-power karozza b'saħħitha ma jqogħdux attenti għat-tires ħajbatu iktar għax ħajkollhom ħafna understeering u ħafna affarijiet oħra bħal dawn, però għall affarijiet tekniċi nħallihom f'idejkom it-tnejn.
Edwin is our man with all the technical rubbish, so yes. Thank you very much, Justin, and good luck for all your technical troubles. We hope we can solve them quickly. Yeah, very unfortunate when you have a race like this where, something, meant to promote the Formula One race, meant to get us all excited for the new Formula One season, and you have these issues. Always unfortunate, but
Exactly.
nothing you can do with so much tech that we have
No,
running
exactly.
here.
Something
always goes
is always bound to go wrong.
Yeah,
for
there's always a
Simon.
spanner
So,
that someone's misplaced.
as we see, one of the adjudicators here, that's Adrian Figallo. As you were saying, yes, Simon, actually, something is always ready to go. So let's hope that everything will be sorted soon and we have a clean and good race on our hands.
And the funny part is, if it's not one thing, it's another. Like, I remember yesterday during the broadcast, one of our studio lights just started flickering. Completely
Exactly.
at random.
I was here actually that time. I was on the other side near the director, and all of a sudden I saw the lights flickering on top of you. So
exactly, it's one of those things where on live, thankfully the cameras weren't on us, so we managed to fix the problem essentially without any of our viewers noticing, which is always the best way to do it. You know, slick. But it's one of those things. It just happens. You know, live TV is so unpredictable.
Exactly. You can never tell what's about to go wrong.
Yeah. That's why. Okay, if you ever hear something fall, me and Edwin will just continue talking as if nothing happened. As we see Justin right there looking over the screen, making sure everything's okay, trying to figure out whatever issue we're having. Yeah. We see the drivers now. If you see them racing, they're not. If you see them driving, I mean, they're not actually in the race at the moment. They're just doing a bit of a warm up, getting into the race, understanding what the fuel loads are going to be like. So, it's essentially like a second practice session just before the race. So, that's why they're driving, playing around with their setup. Well, they're with their fuel loads and all that. As you see, another racer in Andrea Rizzo walking past, also trying to help at the moment with any issues that our team is having. Edwin, so qualifying was pretty close. Practice not as close. If obviously the drivers are currently very close together, as we can talk about some of their lap times. Darren Martinelli currently in the warm-up session is fastest with a 1:34, which is, as far as I'm aware, a bit slower than what we've been seeing so far. How do you think it's going to stack up when it comes to the race?
Yeah, I think they're warming up with the fuel loads already in for the race. Tire-wise is going to be a big factor, Simon. Track temperature now is 29 degrees, so that's hot enough. So my best, if you're not going to be light on tire use, you end up going to do a two-stop strategy, and that's not good, I think.
I think Justin said it best, where it's like, if they chew through the tires too fast, those cars are going to be so difficult to control. The rear ends are going to be snapping every which way. They're going to be understeering. They really, I think tires are going to be the most important thing to safeguard.
And we saw a lot of understeer already during qualifying when we were on board with some of the drivers. We were seeing a lot of understeer. So some of the understeer is good, some of the understeer is not. When you understeer a car, obviously you're generating a lot of heat in the tires. Yeah. And that could play a big role on the successive corner. But excessive race while racing, excessive understeer could lead to blistering the tires, which is which is the top part of the tire that is so overheated that it expands and it forms a lot of rubber pieces. Yeah. And that's no good. Rubber marbles are no good on the tire surface. So.
And another issue with understeering too much, if you have too much heat in the tires, they're going to wear a lot faster.
Exactly.
So, we're talking about how tire weight is going to play a massive role. If the cars are already understeering by nature, which, ironically, these Formula Pro cars are very, very similar to the actual Formula One cars, because even as we've seen in the Bahrain testing, the current Formula One cars seem very understeery, except, ironically, for the McLaren, which is just on it. Except, well, not in Bahrain, but
exactly.
Bahrain, they've been having issues.
And also, Simon, by having that understeer and obviously going through your tires even quicker than usually, tire choice will be a massive factor as well. Which tire are you going to put on? Softs, mediums, or hard? So that's a big factor as well. Hard tire, maybe the one to go because obviously it lasts longer. Soft tire, I don't think you will consider doing putting a soft tire here in Bahrain because one, you chew into it a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And the Bahrain track is a bit bumpy actually, so to use the soft tire, you need the surface to be flat.
I think if you run a longer first stint, you can probably get away with running the soft tire in the shorter second one.
Exactly.
But that's it's a gamble because you're not sure how the track is going to be wearing. But on the other hand, your car will, in theory, be a lot lighter than it is at the start of the race. So you will chew through your tires faster. So this is when we say that the drivers have an equal setup, more or less. It means they're driving the same base car, but the strategy is where it's going to come into play.
Exactly.
The drivers are going to have to be very intelligent with how they plan their race. And if some drivers get the wrong plan, make the wrong decisions, they're going to be on the back foot before the race even starts. They're going to be on the back foot from now.
Exactly. My best guess is that some of the drivers will go hard tires on the first stint and the medium tires on the second stint, because the medium obviously gets you that distance without chewing it up quickly like the softer ones does. I don't think no one will go into the softer tires because obviously track temperature and ambient temperature are both near 30 degrees. So.
See, I don't think starting on the hard tire is a very good idea because you immediately be on the slowest tire available right when all the cars are around you. I think starting on the medium is probably the safest bet, just as like that perfect intermediate point between tire wear and tire performance. So you'll be competitive enough, maybe a bit slower if anyone's brave enough to start on soft, which I don't think we'll see. It's very possible though. But yeah, I think if you start on the medium tire, you're going to have that performance without sacrificing too much tire life.
Exactly.
Which I think is going to play a very, very big part.
Exactly, Simon. And it's, as you rightly said there, maybe starting with the medium tire is the best way to go, and then switching to the hard tire so it gets you the longer distance till the end of the race.
Yeah. The hard tires are going to be a fun prospect if races choose to take them, because you take them too late, you're kind of just wasting performance for nothing.
Exactly.
You really have to you have to make sure you're on them long enough for the extra tire life to become an advantage.
The switch over is going to be critical, and I think some of the drivers there didn't actually manage to get some race simulation setup, well, not setup, race simulation tires on. So I don't think they know what the hard tire will do and how the hard tire will affect the car during a long stint.
And that's the thing, obviously we saw through qualifying practice, the top four drivers are within a second of each other, which over a race distance, it's not that much time, especially when you consider people make mistakes, not everyone's going to set the same lap time and time again. These are the small details that are going to play a massive, massive factor. How well the drivers can manage their tires, their brakes, their fuel. Any small fluctuation, any area where one driver, even if they're slower over a whole lap, is just a bit more consistent or a bit more conservative, it can make massive gains towards the end of the race.
Exactly, massive gains and also massive losses as well, because someone else's loss is someone else's gain. So, so it's going to be a massive headache for the drivers to pick the right tire. Actually,
definitely. I've noticed again we have entirely flipped back into speaking English. So if you could do us a favor and take us back in with Maltese, and I will not help because my accent does not do the Maltese language any justice.
Let's hope that the whole issue that is going around right now is, well, I think, well, maybe they will solve it or not, so we can see a good and clean race.
Hopefully, yeah. Obviously, the race is what we're all here to watch. Practice and qualifying are fun just to get an idea of the drivers, see who's comfortable, see who's maybe struggling a bit. But we're all here for racing.
Exactly.
It's the part of the weekend we all love. It's the part of the show we all want to watch. So I really hope that they manage to get these issues sorted and we can just enjoy a nice, fun race.
Yeah, let's hope so, Simon. Maybe we can.
Are you doing what I'm doing? We're just trying to hear what's happening outside.
Exactly. Maybe we can see what's happening outside and we can get...
Unfortunately, no luck there.
No, unfortunately.
We get no hints from inside our little studio. Okay, we've just been given word that the people working behind the scenes are trying to restart the server. And they're hoping that, essentially, turning it off and turning it back on again, which I believe is scientifically proven to work 80% of the 100% of the time. So we hope it works, obviously. But yeah, so Edwin, when you talk about all the different facets that affect a race, how much does the driver concentrate? Obviously, we're having a bit of a long wait, which is obviously going to affect the driver's concentration and the way how dialed up they are to these sim rigs. How do you think it's going to affect them come the race?
Well, it's going to affect them because obviously you lose that feel that you got already during practice and qualifying, Simon. But obviously, the best simulator racers, obviously the simulator racers, they already know when you are in that zone, it's hard to get out of it. So when you are doing a good lap time, it's hard to just forget the whole race, and that's it.
Definitely. I do believe now we're going to cut to a very short ad break while, once again, we try and get all these issues sorted. Hopefully, when we come back, we'll have some good news for you. We'll see. But yeah, join us right after these messages.
Ekku, ġejna, wara balla problemi. Skużawna ta' dan il-dewmien, pero xaħġa li ma nistawx namlu minnaħa tagħna nsolvu fis-sens li tissolvi l-problema fl-aħħar mill-aħħar u nexxinna nagħmlu xi affarijiet oħra biex inkun nistgħu nurukom it-trasmissjoni. So we're currently doing the formation lap. Sorry for you guys as well for keeping you waiting, but
Lovely, we get to watch
I
the
love
race.
all these problems behind the scenes.
I can tell right on you.
They make you better. Anyway, immorru lura fit-trakka għax bit il-formation lap ħanaraw naqra it-telli fl-aħħar. Ekku, infatti, tajt nifsi għaddej.
It's okay. Allow me to take over. We currently in first place have Beppe De Bono. He got pole position ahead of Daryl Martinelli, Ruben Frendo in third, Russell Camilleri starting in fourth place. Those three were within a second of each other in qualifying, so they're going to be racing quite close together. Carl Cremona is currently in fifth, ahead of Aidan Glanville, who is only 12 years old and very much holding his own, down in sixth place. Mickey Mittick is in seventh, ahead of Jonathan Navarro, Antonio Chaparra, and Ivan Grishti in last place. But yeah, here we see Beppe De Bono driving very slowly, heating up his tires as much as he can on his way up to the grid, up to his grid spot. Edwin, we haven't seen anything of these drivers in a few minutes. First lap is always going to be very close racing and very chaotic. Give me one prediction of something that might happen on this first lap.
Yeah, practically I don't have any predictions because they're all bunched up together and you don't have to judge from qualifying or anything. They're all bunched up together for the first lap as we see De Bono now stopping on his marker, Martinelli beside him. They're all trying to heat the tires and brakes as much as they can, Simon, and when those 5 lights go, they're really ready and racy down to the first corner. Let's hope that everything will be okay. On board right now with Beppe De Bono, who is still sitting there, and now on board with Darren Martinelli. We're waiting for those 5 lights that are about to come up, lighting up in about a few seconds time.
The longer these cars wait in the grid, the more their tires and brakes are going to cool, which is going to make the first corner even harder.
Yeah, that's quite right. Actually, Simon, that's a good point there. You need to get those tires and brakes still.
As we have a timer on the top left of our screen, 5 seconds left to go.
3, 2.
As 4 red lights are on, now 5. Lights out now, and away we go. On board with Darren Martinelli as he comes. He's got a very good start against the leader. He's up the inside. He's riding alongside. On the other side, there's, I believe that is third place of Ruben Frendo coming up the inside. Darren Martinelli has taken P1 ahead of Beppe De Bono. Further back, it all seems to be clean for now. But yeah, Beppe De Bono losing the lead of the race. Russell Camilleri has taken third place ahead of Ruben Frendo and Aidan Glanville, who's made up a position from 6th to 5th position.
Oh, Martinelli still, what a great start for Martinelli. That's an amazing start for Martinelli. There's a yellow sector 1. There's someone spin off. Someone has spun off. There's a yellow flag.
That is Russell Camilleri.
Sector 1. Oh, that's Camilleri. Okay. And then Navarro, I think, is going down as well. That's him. That's Jonathan Navarro. He's going down. Oh, Russell Camilleri lost his rear wing.
That's going to be so detrimental. I think that's his race over, essentially.
That's it. He lost his rear wing. He won't know. He doesn't even know that his rear wing is lost. He just went off wide as well as, and then now he realized actually that his rear wing is lost. Martinelli is still in first place, 4 seconds now from De Bono. That's Beppe De Bono right now that we're on board with, and Ruben Frendo actually is closing behind De Bono. We're on board right now with Antonio Chaparro, who is in 7th place, 18 seconds already off the leader. So the race is going to be all in Martinelli and De Bono's friend, Simon.
Definitely. I think the top 3, 5 seconds between Frendo and Glanville. I think those top 3 are going to be the ones first. As Antonio Chaparro is running without a front wing, so he's also going to have to take a trip to the pits.
That's why he's going slow. And even Navarro is going, he has no front wing, as well as the...
Another car spun.
Exactly.
I believe that is Grishti. That is Ivan Grishti, who's spun in the middle of the road, has not got started again.
So chaos in the first step, Simon. Yeah. Big chaos in the first step.
At least 4 cars with damage. Russell Camilleri has DNF'd, in fact. So the losing his rear wing was completely detrimental to his race. As now we see these 2 cars are going to come to the pits, get new parts, hopefully fix any damage they can. But yeah, very, very bad start for them. This is not going to be the start they wanted.
Exactly, and it's not the ideal start for the race. that they were hoping to win. That we're looking right now on board with Jonathan Navarro. He's going to do his pit stop right now.
Here we go. We currently have half the field either in the pits or out of the race. That's how you know it was a chaotic start. Very unfortunate for all of these drivers, but I mean, if you're in the top 3, this is kind of what you want to see because it's less drivers very close behind trying to challenge you for your positions.
Exactly. Now we're going to have a race at the pit stop actually between Antonio Chaparra and Mickey Mitic right there, and as they both exit the pit lane. So Martinelli still leads with 7 seconds right now.
I do think, because of how quickly he's gaining, I do think that Martinelli is probably running a lighter fuel load at the moment, whereas De Bono has probably taken a whole race's fuel load and is just hoping to save his tires.
Yeah, good point there, Simon. We were chatting about this actually. We were commentating about this previously in the qualifying. My best guess is that Martinelli is really light on fuel.
Definitely. And it would also explain how, off the line, Martinelli just got such an incredible launch. So much better than De Bono, to the point where he was passed before they even got to turn 1.
And driving beautifully as well, Martinelli. We're on board with him right now. And as we see him, he looks concentrated a lot, Simon. 8.2 seconds now already on De Bono. It's either he has a light fuel load or he has a really good race pace and just went on with the whole race.
And yeah, we saw in qualifying and practice, he was always very competitive. He was always running towards the front, but I don't think he ever topped the session. He was always maybe between 2nd and 3rd. So seeing this pace from him now, I can't imagine. Well, I mean, it's entirely possible that his car is just beautifully set up for the race, and just that's where he thrives. But I do think, as he's gained another almost 2 seconds over De Bono, he must be running a very, very light car compared to the...
A light car, and also the tire choice he has is soft. As we see Antonio Chaparra right now running off track. Once again, now he's in last place, and unfortunately, we lost Russell Camilleri, who he's already done with this race. And what I was saying previously, Simon, is that Daryl Martinelli is on softs, and Beppe De Bono is on hard tires. And that could be a big factor because that's what we were saying before the race it even started, Simon. That some drivers could go on hard and then switch to the softs, and the other could do the other way.
And I think the fact that Beppe De Bono is on soft, I don't think he'll be too worried about the growing gap to Martinelli, because Martinelli's going to have to. First of all, he's going to have to pit a lot sooner.
Exactly.
So and also in that pit stop, he's probably going to have to take on a lot more fuel, so it means he'll be slower in the second stint.
Martinelli also could end up in traffic after the pit stop. So remember those guys behind him, Grishti and Cremona, he could end up in the middle of them. So losing time, losing precious seconds that he built up on De Bono right now.
Definitely, as we see there, Darren Martinelli lapping a car who was spun.
Chaparra.
It was Chaparra, oh yes. Again, unfortunately for Chaparra, he doesn't seem to have, maybe he has some damage that he couldn't fix in the pit stops, maybe some suspension damage or something along those lines.
Right
as
now,
we see, that is Mickey Mitic, also off the track. So yeah, these cars are really struggling. We were talking about before how understeery and also oversteery these cars can be. And I do think that some of the maybe, I don't want to say less experienced, but maybe some of the drivers who are struggling a bit more, just not having that car control to really keep it on track.
And as it is right now, Martinelli is doing what he's supposed to do. In front, with the soft tires, leading the race on De Bono with over 11 seconds right now. So that's what he needs to do. He needs to build up that gap. So when he puts the fresher, hard tires on, the gap will still hover around at the time, since obviously De Bono needs to pit again.
Definitely. We currently have 2 more drivers in the pits in Grishti and Glanville. I do wonder if maybe they had a contact somewhere, or maybe they just made mistakes on their own. But yeah, because it's very, very early to take a scheduled pit stop. I don't know. I cannot see what tires they were on in their previous stint at the moment. But yeah, they're very, very early pit stops.
Yeah, the chaotic start actually to this race. 7 minutes into this race, and there's a penalty for Grishti. There's a penalty for no, that's what you were saying, Simon.
Yep.
I think there was contact between
that does suggest
Grishti
that maybe they came together.
Or Mitic.
It does suggest they came.
Someone's spun off in front of the leader there.
Darren Martinelli is very lucky that car did not spin back onto literally his exact race path.
And they didn't even stop him. He just got on with it and kept his pace.
I assume he would have done a double takeover, just like it's that moment where you just inhale very sharply through your nose and then you fry. But
There's a clean racetrack in front of Daryl Martinelli, so he's doing the job that he's supposed to do. He's just in front, leading the race.
Definitely. It's kind of interesting. We're less than 10 minutes into the race at the moment, and already half the field has been lapped. More than half the field has been lapped, actually. Well, excluding Russell Camilleri, who was out, obviously. But yeah, so Daryl Martinelli has some pace in that car. It's kind of unfortunate the way things have shaked out, that the gaps between each of the drivers are very, very large. I think the closest one is between Ivan Grishti. Nope, I take that back. He swaps places. But yeah, Mitzik and Aiden are some of the closest ones, and it's still a 3-second gap. So yeah,
the gap between the softs and the hards, Simon, is massive as well. Between
it looks like it, yeah.
It's almost 2 seconds between the soft and the hard. So De Bono needs to get on with it, with his race pace as well. And obviously not shrink the gap, because he cannot shrink the gap, because obviously Martinelli is on better tires. But at least keep that gap hovering around 15 seconds, because right now Martinelli is actually, there's a penalty here as well for Glenville. Glenville has a penalty. How much? 12-year-old? What?
He is 12, yeah.
The 12-year-old has a penalty against another opponent.
If I'm reading it correctly, that's 17 seconds behind the closest car to him. So, and he has a 9-second gap ahead of Ivan Grishti. So he's in very much in no man's land. So I don't know how much that penalty is going to affect him if it's a time penalty.
Exactly. Unfortunately. The gap between De Bono and Martinelli, as I was saying, is still hovering around 15 seconds. So it's not as I say, that's 16.5 right now. I think De Bono made a mistake somewhere.
It must be, yeah, because now it's almost 17
made a mistake
seconds.
somewhere.
Yeah, I think Darren Martinelli has to be careful that he doesn't chew through his tires too quickly. They're by nature going to wear significantly faster than Bepe's hard tires.
Exactly.
So
we're on board right now. We're looking at Beppe De Bono, who has similar racing lines of those of Martinelli, but fortunately for him, he's 17 seconds already from the leader Martinelli. So let's see what this lap will shape up to be for him. There's a yellow flag now. It's gone already. So green flag. Everyone will go as fast as possible. So 18 seconds between De Bono and the leader Martinelli.
That is Mikey Mittet making yet another pit stop for him. So again, maybe made a mistake, maybe hit a wall somewhere, got some damage. Yeah, very unfortunate. It's unfortunate the way it's checking out that we have so many cars making these. Yeah, that is.
That's the penalty for Mika Mitic. That's the penalty he has. That's the penalty. In fact, he is frustrated about that penalty. But you gain experience. The thing is,
he's also running without.
There's no front wing. There's no front wing on Mika Mitic.
And he has another penalty. Oh, that's so unfortunate. I do wonder
if that's. I think he called up. Called it today. I think.
I don't think he's called today. I think he's trying to call for attention. Maybe he has an issue
with the pit stop. Maybe they didn't fix the front wing. Yeah, it could be as well. But no front wing for Mika Mitic, so he can't go anywhere, unfortunately, without that front wing.
Yeah, it does look like currently he's been lapped twice already, running without the front wing. He's by far the worst for wear at the moment.
Exactly. His day is over, unfortunately, for Mika Mitic.
Glanville is also in the pits again. That'll probably be serving his pit stop, as is his penalty, I mean. Exactly. As is Grishti. So yeah, we've seen a few pit stops. The gap between the front two is now 20 seconds. The gap between second and third is also around 20 seconds
as well.
And then there's 30 between third and fourth.
Yeah, that's a big gap actually, but considering how they were during practice session and qualifying. It was really close, and between a second between 4 drivers. So something must have happened between those two. Either fuel loads, maybe Martinelli is, as you said, Simon, is running low.
What's interesting though is Beppe De Bono and Carl Cremona in fourth are both on the hard tires, but Daryl Martinelli and Ruben Frendo in first and third respectively are soft. So based on Daryl Martinelli's pace, you'd think that Ruben Frendo would be significantly faster. You wouldn't peg him as being 20 seconds behind the driver on hard.
Exactly, and the lap times don't suggest that, because Daryl Martinelli's lap time, the fastest lap time he did was 1:34. The others did 1:37s. Yeah, so
he's on another level as Mikey Mitic.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately for him,
no front wing. He's going to be struggling. This will be the most painful lap of his life right now.
And also his day might be over actually for Mikey Mitic. So
he's coming into the pits.
Exactly. Once again, another pit stop for Mickey Mitic. But you gain experience with these kind of
Definitely.
things. You can come back whenever you want and do another race.
I do hope that he bolts on a new front wing and goes back out there and just tries to finish the race, because ultimately, the more laps he does, the more experience he's going to get.
Exactly.
You know, it's unfortunate. Someone like Russell Camilleri losing a rear wing is completely impossible to fix in game, at least during a pit stop. So, unfortunately for him, though, he had no choice but to retire. So yeah, hopefully, from the looks of it, Mickey Mitic is going to bolt on a new front wing and get going again. Does it?
Let's hope there is a front wing on Mickey Mitic's car.
I'm trying to see through the suspension. I don't think there is.
No. Mickey Mitic's race, unfortunately, is over because
he has no front wing. For some reason, the pit stop isn't giving him one.
No. Mickey Mitic's race is done and dusted actually for him. So 3 laps down, he can't go. He can't do anything from there.
Yeah, if you can't fix the damage, then you're going to be. It's unfortunate for him because like he clearly does want to get his race back in the way, even if he's just lapping on his own. But yeah, he's just. There's no way he's going to be able to hold up any sense of pace.
And he knows actually because he went through that right-hander really slow, and even here he knows he has no front wing. He knows it.
Definitely. Again, talking back to the front two, 24 and a half seconds. Do we think, as you know, again, we've mentioned before, the mono is on slower tires, possibly higher fuel loads as well. Do we think that the second part of the race, he can do enough to close that gap and actually overtake Martinelli, or is it already a foregone conclusion?
Well, we're already 15 minutes into this race, and the gaps are big. But as you said, Martinelli might be on a lighter fuel load, and maybe the Bono's just doing a race on a full tank of gas.
You know, you say the gaps are big, but at the end of the day, Martinelli has made this gap, this 27-second gap, in only 15 minutes. So, with 30 left to go, realistically, Beppe De Bono could double that gap.
Exactly.
Could close up and create the same gap.
Let's see how this race pans out, because Martinelli's fuel load is key actually for winning this race or not. If it's low, and De Bono might have a full tank of fuel on board, he might have a chance actually, because hard tires and the fuel tank of fuel, you can go till the end of the race. We're watching right now Beppe De Bono. We're on board with him right now onto the start finish straight.
Edwin, I would like to interrupt actually, and that's why I came here again. This is the first experience for these drivers to participate in such an environment, and especially with damage. They never raced or did a practice session or anything with damage. I always say that we always keep in mind education part of our events for each and every event. So that's why we added the damage enabled. They didn't even practice with damage on. Why should you practice? To see what is the feeling with one missing wheel? You cannot practice what damage means. So you have to start doing it. And also, apart from that, is for them to start being cautious not to hit others.
Unfortunately,
because during races, their sessions, their practice sessions, or their fun events, they always were without damage. And there's no feel of what simulation is. And this event was, apart from entertainment, about any other experience, but it's also for them to learn. Meaning, they don't need to rush in turn one. You know what happened. Now there's Mickey.
Finally,
he had a missing wing there, and probably. And I think if we get his expressions, his face expressions, we can see that he's probably
finally he got a front
more comfortable. I would like to also thank, while we're here, is that while I'm not in the broadcasting room means that there's someone else. So thanks to Neil and Andrea Rizzo, who are managing it while I'm here. But I wanted to make it a very important point about this. So it's, you might get hit in lap 1, like what could happen next week in Formula 1. What that means? Meaning that if you got hit, there are still 9 drivers there who kept on fighting, irrelevant to what the damage is. And that is how it makes you a professional person. This is what I talk about when saying and talking about being professional, and that's what we push out there. Being professional means someone hit you, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
You know, the damage is there, go and fix it and continue.
Actually, we were saying this earlier when it's unfortunate that Russell Camilleri, because he lost his rear wing, couldn't really fix the damage and get back out there.
Yes, I was not referring, by the way, to Camilleri.
Oh, yes, I'm
because I saw him while I was there. He was not happy about it, of course. I think he was one of the people that I mentioned to him a lot about damage and to get hit in turn 1 and blah blah blah. You have to keep going. I don't know what was the thing, if he was, furious or
he lost his rear wing.
You know, yeah, I know about losing the wing, and it's very difficult to continue racing like that. In fact, if it was in real life, if you were a danger to the other drivers, they will tell you, hey, put it on the side and that's it, the race is finished for you. But so I'm not gonna say anything about Camilleri. It's not about him. I'm just saying is that they need to, keep on going if they are able to, depending on the damage. And yeah, anyway, so at least we still have 9 drivers running, and at least we have still 10 experienced drivers now with new experience, with damage on, with adrenaline and all those tension and excitement before a race.
May I ask, is this their first time in a race setting, or have they been racing just without damage before?
Always without damage.
But they have been racing before against either each other or other people?
Yeah, but these are groups, separate groups that I selected.
Okay.
So there is Darren Martinelli and De Bono, they are separate from their group. There's Ruben Frendo, if we can get the full layout of the drivers, because I'm only seeing the surnames. I know them, but still. Navarro is also in a different group. There's Glanville is not from any group out there. He's from a different group, from Ferrari Club Malta. So I was picking those drivers that come to the facility, training often.
I just lost it. And I think Glanville that just overtook him, and that was a great overtake.
They had a really good battle.
Martinelli's in the pits.
Mitic is in the pits. So
Martinelli's in the pits. Let's watch Martinelli, what's he doing in the pits. As the ball now, obviously the gap shrink again, and Tantione Chapar just went round once again, and penalty for Mitic as well. Martinelli is out from his pit box. Let's watch what's going to happen. The ball now is the leader of this race. Maybe we could cut to De Bono and Martinelli on track. That's it. That's Darren Martinelli in front of him.
Only a second between them.
Exactly. That's De Bono in front of him. Just 1.5 seconds between the leader and Martinelli. Now this is crucial. This is the key moment of the whole race. So Martinelli now has the medium tires on.
So he's used both of the faster compounds, and even now he's going to be on fresher, faster tires. I'm not sure about fuel. Can't really tell about fuel at the moment, but Beppe De Bono has to be so careful to keep Martinelli behind him.
Exactly, and De Bono needs to get that car as wide as possible, not to get Martinelli on him. But unfortunately for him, Martinelli is already chewed up all that gap, and there's now half a second between him and De Bono. Look at the exit of Martinelli with those fresher tires, as you mentioned, Simon.
Yeah.
That fresher tire, he gets. He just went on the inside of De Bono. That's amazing. He went late on the brakes. Martinelli and De Bono still battling it out for the lead of the race. So Martinelli on De Bono, he went so deep on those brakes. Martinelli spun! Martinelli spun! That's the lead gone. De Bono still in first place. What an amazing time to be on track right now. That's Martinelli. We're on board with him, so he's flat spotted as well. His tires, Simon. De Bono's in first place.
Martinelli's going to be so frustrated with himself. He just got that move done, and a brilliant move, so late, caught De Bono completely off guard. And now Martinelli, he's got another 4 seconds to make up. He's got those fresher tires, so he is going to have the pace over De Bono.
Exactly, but too weaker on the gas, Simon.
It could also be, remember, his tires are going to be a lot colder.
Oh, that's De Bono. That's the leader.
Is it? No,
that's the leader. No, that's not De Bono.
That was a very unfortunate, very close to a dangerous rejoin there. But
I thought it was De Bono. I forgot that De Bono was pink.
Simon's language took over again.
I'm sorry.
That's
Għamurru l-ura ftit bil-Malti, għal forsi jem xaħat li ma jifimx bl-Inglis u nixtieq nagħtu update, naħseb l-update ndunajtu waħedkom x'inhu jiġri għax illum il-motorsport, mhux illum il-motorsport huwa naħseb xi ħaġa faċli biex tifhem għax hekk ta' rota nieqsa tajt li mela laqgħet x'imkien u jespiċċa bla rota, però kif qed nindunaw it-tires jekk ma tux ħsiebhom fuq din il-karozza ikollok problemi kbar. Bħal ma nasemma Edwin, flat spots, etc. U ħajbdew jinbidlu jekk forsi r-reġija tista' tina lil Beppe De Bono jidher on kemm tista' tara kemm ħajbdew jiġġieldu mal-steering fit-tawrin. U Bahrain mhijiex xi ħaġa faċli biex issuq hemm ħafna kantunieri u jekk it-tajer kważi spiċċa, ovvjament għandhom huma fuq is-simulation tagħhom it-tajer wear fi x'inhu. Infatti aħna hekk għandna fuq l-istatistika nistgħu naraw il-profiles, eċetera, x'inhu, ovvjament mhux id-data kollha, għax ma nkunux nistgħu naqalgħu kull data, però dak huwa recap sissa kellna persuna li
Martinelli tisuq.
Iva, sfortunatament Camilleri kellu jispiċċa din it-telliqa, spiċċa blowing għal minn forsi ma ingħaqad magħna issa u hemm ġlieda bejn l-ewwel tnejn żgur u Frendo jipprova jġielet wara jom inaqqas il-ħin, però nkomplu lura fuq Martinelli ħanaraw jekk jirnexxilux f'20 minuta ftit iktar minn 20 minuta ilaħħaq xi jġib lil De Bono li nista' nassigurakom li De Bono huwa driver very consistent.
U l-gap reġa' naqqas ħafna, gap reġa' naqset ħafna, sekonda u nofs. De Bono għal Martinelli, fir il-gap naqset ħafna, il-pass ta' Martinelli huwa inkredibbli b'dak il-medium tires li tefa' friski issa, ma ninsewx li De Bono ilu bil-hard tires mill-bidu ta' telliqa, veri Martinelli set tires friski li kull mandom 4 laps fuqhom.
But you have to remember, the longer Beppe De Bono goes on this race, and he's run wide.
De Bono ran wide.
Oh,
even Martinelli ran wide as well. He just got sucked in that mistake from De Bono.
It's so easy to do when you're watching another driver so closely, focusing on them so intently, and then they make a mistake and you just follow their braking point without realizing.
And the thing is, you want to brake a bit later than your opponent, Simon. So if the opponent brakes now, you want to brake maybe a little bit as Martinelli is now shaping up this attack. Martinelli has got a good exit now.
Yeah,
a really good exit on De Bono. He got the slipstream. Simon has the slipstream on De Bono. Let's see if it goes. Oh no, De Bono went deep in that final corner. Let's see if he can make it. So De Bono still leading the race. Martinelli is still in second place, but he has a really good exit, Simon. On to the start finish straight they go. Martinelli has got the slipstream on De Bono. He will now pull over to the right. He surely will now pull over to the right. That's an incredible move. They go side by side. Martinelli still in first place. De Bono tries to get alongside. So we still Martinelli in first place. De Bono now picking up the slipstream. Simon, all yours.
Yeah, we see De Bono's going to try and have a little bit of a sniff into the inside of turn 3. He's not going to make it, but Martinelli has Martinelli run a bit wide. They both have. They both kept it on the track though. This looks like Martinelli's position. He has managed to make it stick, but very, very crucial. Martinelli makes a little bit of a mistake. And
then I think he tried to go around the outside of Martinelli. He tried something different there, and unfortunately didn't pan out for him. And that's the problem with De Bono. Those hard tires right now, they really past their lifetime, Simon. Martinelli has mediums on.
I think the hot tires still have a lot of life left in them. And what's good about this is De Bono managed to keep Martinelli behind him for a long time. So he's managed to wear those mediums out. Hopefully, I think De Bono might be hoping that by the end of the race, the medium tires would have worn significantly more than the hard tires. So he can go to the end of the race probably without a pit stop at this point. I can't imagine he'll take a pit stop. It won't be worth it.
No. And of course, as you rightly said, you have as well 20 minutes of racing left. So any mistake from Martinelli or any tire wear from Martinelli, De Bono could be there on those hard tires. And as you rightly said, Simon, he kept Martinelli behind him for a good couple of laps.
Yeah, although I would suggest maybe, because for now, Martinelli definitely has the pace over De Bono, and that gap is just going to grow and grow and grow like it did in the first stint. I do think it would be wise for De Bono to dive into the pit, bolt on some soft tires. That will absolutely go. That we saw Martinelli made them last around 20 minutes.
And go for him.
He's going to be on lighter fuel, so they're not going to wear as fast, and he can just literally drive like a bat out of... I can't swear on this channel. Drive like a bullet, trying as hard as he can to close that gap. I think, as we saw from Martinelli, it's very, very easy in 15-20 minutes to make a massive gap. I do think De Bono could do it. It just matters on how he set up his car. If he set up his car to run on high fuel loads, he's going to have, if he's at his race strategy, I should say, not his setup. If he's planned to run on high fuel loads, bolting on soft tires will be a very, very bad idea.
Eżattament, issa kif naraw bħalissa l-mela l-Martinelli għadu fil-lita tal-li għal-kif naraw qoddimu hemm ukoll, però hemm left car dak min huwa dak huwa Mitic jew Grishti qoddimu.
Mitic isn't driving orange. I do believe it's Grishti.
All right, okay.
Get out of the way. Doesn't slow him down too much, but also Beppe De Bono now almost 4 seconds behind Martinelli. Martinelli has that comfort gap where he's just going to, he can kind of like let off the gas a little bit. He doesn't need to push as hard as he was doing a lap ago. As I say that, he runs a bit. He is pushing.
And he went wide.
Yeah.
He went wide. Once again, where is De Bono? De Bono
doing the exact same thing.
The exact same thing. De Bono needs to be on him.
Yeah.
And not doing the same mistakes as Martinelli. Either the tires have already gone for Beppe and De Bono and Martinelli.
I do think De Bono at this stage does just need to dive into the pits, bolt on a fast set of tires, a fresh set of tires. He's not, if he's going to make mistakes like that, well, obviously it's not his fault. Mistakes happen regardless. But he needs to capitalize on Martinelli's mistakes. And if he can't do that, he's going to struggle for the entire rest of this race. There's only about just under 17 minutes left, I should say. As we come back to Jonathan Navarro having a relatively quiet race down on his own, but as Justin was mentioning earlier, it's all about the education. It's about getting those laps and getting that practice. And I think he should be very proud of himself that he's been able to be involved in battles and race cleanly, as well as much as he's been able to just keep going and keep lapping.
Yeah, Ivan Grishti is in the pits right now to bolt on a fresh set of those medium tires, I presume they are, or hard tires. That's hard tire. The white band, I think it's a white band there.
Ivan Grishti is, yes, currently on the soft tires, actually.
Oh, soft tires. Sorry about that.
So he's done essentially what I've been recommending De Bono do, which is, you know, late phase in the race, the tires are going to make it to the end without too much wear. So I do think it's the right decision to just bolt on a set of soft tires and go as fast as you can.
Martinelli għadna fil-bidu fil-lead ta' din it-telliqa, De Bono t-tini post, għadna kif rajna wkoll ġlida ferm interessanti bejn Martinelli u De Bono, fej De Bono kien qiegħed l-ewwel, Martinelli għamel żball, reġa' ġab lura il-gap illi tilef, il-sekondi li tilef bl-iżball li għamel u qabes lil De Bono fil-straight fil-straight fl-ewwel kantuniera b'overtaking fenomenali min-naħa ta' Martinelli. De Bono t-tieni post, 6 sekondi issa l-gap bejn Martinelli u De Bono, mbagħad Frendo Cremona, Navarro, Glenville, Chappara, Grishti, Mitic u sfortunatament tliftna fil-bidu tat-tellieqa wkoll lil Camilleri li tilef il-wing ta' wara u ir-race kienet spiċċata hemmhekk. 6 sekondi bejn Martinelli u De Bono kif ukoll qed naraw inkwadratura tal-faċilità illi hawn ġewwa Monte Cristo, il-faċilità tal-worldproracing. Martinelli fl-ewwel post, il-gap tibqa' dur bejnu bejn De Bono għal 6 sekondi 5.7, Grishti u Chappara sfortunatament ukoll għalihom it-tellieqa hija spiċċata hawnhekk. Mela kull fadlinna minn 10 drivers fadal 7. Grishti palissa nkwadrat hemmhekk. Spiċċat hemmhekk it-tellieqa tiegħu.
Yeah, I'm very unfortunate for those two. I think they had a lot of accidents and a lot of mistakes. But, you know, they made it through 30 minutes, so at least they got a lot of that experience. As we cut down to Martinelli, 5 seconds between Martinelli and De Bono.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. The gap is shrinking down and rapidly.
Yeah, I wonder if Martinelli maybe made a mistake, maybe went wide somewhere. But as we see, because now it's building back up towards 6 seconds, I don't think... With 30 minutes left, do you think De Bono has the pace to overcome it? Because I think Martinelli's got it, if I'm being completely honest.
It's marginal. It's really marginal. We can see at the top over there on that screen. We can see De Bono, and De Bono can see Martinelli that he is there. So it's marginal, Simon. He could just do it. He could.
Yeah, I think De Bono's in that really frustrating position where you can see the car ahead of you, but you can also see them driving further and further away.
And you cannot do anything. You just sit there and drive as fast as you can, as long as the tires obviously give you the full strength and power to maybe catch him.
Definitely. I do think Martinelli has kind of hit bank on his strategy, starting on the softs with possibly a low fuel load. And he might have lost a lot of time in the pit stops. compared to De Bono, who obviously hasn't taken a pit stop at all. But it's very evidently the fastest strategy at the moment.
Exactly. And
Obviously, there's 10 seconds left, and he's not really building a gap on De Bono anymore. It's kind of keeping it around 6 seconds. So this may be the crossover point where now De Bono could start closing back in. But even if he does he have time to close that gap and overtake? It's going to be really, really interesting how the final 12 minutes play out.
Well, the thing is, catching a driver is one thing, Simon, and passing him is another thing. So
that's it. That's exactly it.
And unfortunately for De Bono, Martinelli looked after his tires in the first stint really well. And so he knows how to treat the tires. Even the set that he has run, he knows how to treat them and take care of those tires. Another thing as well for Martinelli is that the race, for me, it was won by 3 factors. He's leading the race by 3 factors. Sorry, by overtaking the first corner at the start of the race, by doing that great stint on the soft tires, he did an amazing stint, and by overtaking De Bono in a brilliant, actually, overtaking on the first corner.
Yeah, I think what's funny about that is when Martinelli came out of the pits behind De Bono, he needed to get past as quick as he could just so he could make advantage of his fresh tires. And he did that. On the very lap he came out of the pits, he made a beautiful overtake at the end of the back straight. Unfortunately, 2 corners later would lose the rear end and half spin it. But so his ability to only really waste a lap, even though from a spin that we've seen other drivers have knocked off wings, gotten damage to the cars, had to take an extra journey to the pits. He managed to keep it on track and have no damage on his car, so he could just dial back into the circuit, keep going as if nothing happened, and it's clearly working for him. He's now 6.5 seconds back in the lead ahead of De Bono.
Yeah, De Bono right now is doing Sector 1 is faster than Martinelli's 0.4 of a seconds, 0.4 of a seconds faster than Martinelli. So let's see the second sector, what's going to pan out. So 43.3 for Martinelli. Second sector for De Bono is a personal best, which is still slower though than Martinelli's 43.6, but it's a personal best as well. So the gap still hovers around 6 seconds between Martinelli and De Bono.
I think at this current moment, the different drivers are faster in different areas of the track. As you can see, De Bono has the jump over Martinelli in Sector 1, but Sector 2, very marginal differences, only 3/10, but Martinelli is faster in Sector 2. So maybe that's kind of hints that maybe De Bono has a bit more straight line speed at the moment, whereas Martinelli still has the edge over in the tight, twisty corners of Sector 2.
Exactly, because that extra grip that the tires give you, obviously you get more exit speed faster. You can get into the corners tighter than your opponent. So, and that's why Martinelli, I think, he bolted on a fresh set of tires.
Yeah, I think Martinelli, from De Bono's perspective, when he's looking back in hindsight, it might have been smart of him to start on the medium tires and then do essentially the reverse strategy of De Bono, because then he would have been on the faster tires with a lighter car.
Exactly.
But obviously the risk is then, I understand De Bono's mindset entirely of, we're going to be slower throughout the entire race, but I'm not going to make a pit stop, so I'm not going to lose 30 seconds. I assume he was expecting his competitors not to be able to make that kind of time over him, but as Martinelli proved, he just had the pace to, even with a pit stop, didn't really slow him down at any point. And
the thing is, Martinelli's on mediums. Let's hope he doesn't hit the cliff at the end of the race. 9 minutes left to go, and the gap is still around 6.9, 7 seconds right now.
Well, here's the thing. He pit, I believe it was just maybe around 17, 18 minutes into the race. So, judging based on that, considering his soft tires didn't seem to be dropping off at any point, I do think the mediums will last till the end of the race without hitting that cliff. But obviously, there are differences now. He has already spun the car, and he was caught up in a battle which he wasn't caught up in the first stint. So maybe they're a bit more worse for wear, but the counterpoint to that is the car's going to be lighter, so naturally it's just going to be chewing through its tires less.
Exactly. And right now, as we see, we are on board with Martinelli. The way he's driving and treating those tires is incredible.
He's very smooth. He's not running the curbs too much. He's not
even
sliding the car. He's doing everything he needs to do to keep his gap stable. I don't even think he's pushing too much. The gap is just naturally increasing because he's on faster tires. So yeah, I think it's going to be a race De Bono can look back on proudly and say that he genuinely had the pace, the clear pace to be almost 62 seconds ahead of P2, P3 I mean. But yeah, it's going to be one of those frustrating ones where it's going to be a question of almost for him, because it does seem like his strategy is the thing that's letting him back rather than his pace.
And for the Bon, I think who would be kicking himself actually, because today he didn't not have the race pace to win the race.
Definitely.
He had the race pace, on a one-lap pace, on a hot lap, not on a race distance, unfortunately for the
Yeah, we saw that through both practice and qualifying, that the Bono just had that one lap pace. He knew how to put all the sectors together and create a lap that was tenths faster than his competitors. But in the race, yeah, he's lacking a bit behind. Again, it'll be very interesting to see if they start on the same tire, how this race would stack up differently. But as is, the Bono is just, 10 seconds behind, 7 minutes remaining. It's very much a foregone unless Martinelli makes a massive mistake, it's kind of a foregone conclusion, unfortunately.
Which could happen.
I mean, yeah, we've already seen Martinelli make one mistake, pushing too hard, so it's definitely possible. And also, again, nature of racing, anything can happen. For all we know, horror of horrors, Martinelli's computer just turns itself off for absolutely no reason. But we don't expect that to happen. Our equipment here in the facility is very, very high tech, so all works fine. But
the way Martinelli is driving, though, is, as you said, not touching the curbs, not touching anything, just so smooth. And look at, for example, De Bono. De Bono went, it even went wide onto the curb, whilst Martinelli just let the car flows onto the curb, just touching it a bit, just glancing on the curb. So De Bono, I think he's fighting the car more than Martinelli.
I think he might be pushing harder, or alternatively, it could be that he's been on these tires so long, they've currently almost done 40 minutes. So these tires are going to start hurting now, and I do wonder if maybe they're just reaching that cliff that we were saying. Like the cliff where he'd be hoping that Martinelli's reaching, he's hitting instead, to the point where he's just not. He doesn't have the confidence in the car to be able to push as much as he would like.
Yeah, and I think for De Bono, I think his tires are completely shot right now. There was no point. It does look that. De Bono is, look at the amount of understeer that the car has. For example, the car just wants to go out from the corner, not into the corner. So
I think, like, looking at their driving style, I do think that Martinelli just has a really, really good natural talent to save his tires. He knows not to drive over the curbs too much. Whereas Beppe De Bono, even though his driving style, like we were saying, might be faster over one lap pace because you're throwing yourself off curbs, taking more speed into the corners. When it comes to a race, one lap pace doesn't matter. You need to be able to have a competitive pace over one lap, but you have to do it consistently throughout the race to make sure you're in the top spot. This is exactly what we're seeing Martinelli do, unfortunately a bit better than De Bono. And not just De Bono, Martinelli's doing it, he's currently leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else. I mean, third place is 73 seconds behind.
Oh, Martinelli just made a mistake right now. Martinelli just went wide. So it might not be over for the lead of the race. Having said that,
you say that in 10 seconds. A mistake like that is not going to cost you 10 seconds. It might cost you a few tenths, maybe, let's say at most half a second. Martinelli's going to need to make one of those mistakes around every corner if De Bono has a chance of catching up in 4.5 minutes.
Exactly. Unfortunately for De Bono, he's just too far back. He just didn't have the race pace.
Definitely. I think, I'm trying to decide when he would have pushed, maybe, I do think, this is going to sound very vain of me to say, but I do think he should have pit when there was about 15-20 minutes left, bolted on some softs, and then just...
And went.
Exactly, because at this point, it's a case of hindsight. Like I said, I fully understand the rationale behind the strategy of losing no time by taking a pit stop and just trying to be consistent. However, I think for his driving style, maybe a more aggressive strategy would have helped him in the way that Martinelli's aggressive strategy has.
One difference between Martinelli and De Bono, I'm looking at it right now. First corner for Martinelli is in second gear. First corner for De Bono was on first gear. And that tells you a lot, because in second gear you don't have that much torque from the engine that will spin you out. In first gear, obviously, since the revs are higher, then there is that torque. And not the car will shoot you around, but you need extra grip from those tires to stick the car to the ground. Whilst if you are in second gear, as back marker is in front of Martinelli, he should go away, and he does. So Martinelli still has that 9.5-second advantage
Yep.
over De Bono. We see De Bono's right there at the far end of that long back straight. And that's one massive difference between the driving between De Bono and Martinelli. He uses higher gear ratio, higher gears for specific corners of the racetrack.
As you saw on that last corner, De Bono took a really weird line, jumping across the curve very early, and it kind of just shot him a bit wide. I do think maybe a bit of frustration is now starting to get the better of him, where he's just, again, throwing everything he can at the racetrack, and it's just not working out for him.
And the thing is, he knows that this race could have been much different.
I mean, he started on pole.
Exactly.
He knew he had every opportunity. It was his race to lose, and lose it he did. 2 minutes left. 10 seconds is not going to be made up unless Martinelli bins it in a wall somewhere.
No, exactly.
And
which is not going to happen.
Exactly. Martinelli knows this. He's going to be driving so cautiously because essentially he can drive at a snail's pace and knowing that De Bono is not going to have the time to catch up. So yeah, Martinelli. We were talking about this yesterday with Ella, one of the winners from yesterday's races, and she said that the most important thing about a race is finishing, and this is what has to be Martinelli's mindset right now. He's already got the lead. He's got the gap to the point where it's safe for him to not push. He just needs to finish. Keeping it clean is going to be the way he wins this race at the moment.
Exactly. And it was all strategic. It was all a strategic win, Simon.
Definitely.
When he went on, the start was a flyer for Martinelli. Just shot off from his grid box from second place on De Bono with a clean overtake as well on De Bono onto the first corner of the first step. So that was key as well for the Martinelli. De Bono obviously might have done the same thing, but
yeah, I fully agree.
Martinelli's perspective, he needed that overtake to be done in the first corner of the first step. Obviously, races are not won in the first corner, but while you did a good launch other than your opponent, then yes, you have to win the race on the first step because that first corner is key when you get a good launch.
Yeah, but especially when you have races with significantly different strategies. Being able to have the track position to essentially control the way the other person races is a massive advantage. And again, Martinelli, in fact, in the end, didn't really need the track position because he just kind of shot away from the rest of the field. But in terms of mindset, even for De Bono, knowing that he lost the lead is obviously going to affect his racing, whereas Martinelli is going to be affected in the complete opposite way. He's going to be affected for the positive, where he's going to have that extra kick to just keep going.
Yeah, and this could be the final lap actually for Martinelli. 10 seconds now for the race to finish. So I think this will be the final lap for Martinelli.
It definitely will be, yeah.
Yes,
this is the end of the time, so this will be the final lap. Yes. Martinelli coming down the back straight, just passing 10-10. It has been, I think, dominance is an understatement.
Exactly. He just made this track his own for the day. For today, it's his own.
I think, unfortunately for him, because of his little half spin, he has led every lap -1.
Exactly.
Which he would have led every single lap if he didn't have that half spin, because he got past De Bono off the pit stops super quickly. But, he lost a little bit and had to get past De Bono of lap 1, turn 1 of the next lap. So unfortunately for him, he has not managed to lead every single lap. But as he comes up to across the line, first place, absolutely dominant, 11.5 seconds at the moment ahead. 12 seconds ahead of Beppe De Bono in second. Who, again, Beppe De Bono, absolutely a brilliant drive from him. He should be very happy with himself for finishing a second place. Only 10 seconds behind who was an incredibly fast driver today. And yeah, I mean, again, a gap of 63 seconds ahead of the car in third is spectacular. I think De Bono should be really proud of himself.
He should be proud of himself, but his face said it all. Yeah. That race was,
frustrating, definitely frustrating
He knows that Martinelli won the race by pitting.
Yeah.
By doing that pit stop, as we see now, Ruben Frendo onto the back straight. Checkered flag is out, so Ruben Frendo will get third place, and then Cremona, Navarro, and Glenn Villen, Mitic. Unfortunately, we lost Grishni Chappara and Camilleri. Ruben De Bono rounding up to the final corner of the race. Ruben De Bono on third place. Quiet race actually for Ruben De Bono. He's just stayed there.
He was on his own. He was riding around on his own a lot of the time, which again for him it's going to be experience. So and again ultimately end up in a podium place. So this is the benefits of keeping a clean race, even when perhaps even if you're on your own, clean racing is the most important thing.
Exactly. So Martinelli there wins the Bahrain Formula Pro Grand Prix ahead of De Bono, Frendo, Cremona, Navarro, Glenville, Mitic, Grishti, Chappara and Camilleri, who did not finish over there. So Daryl Martinelli trying to do some.
He's celebrating a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't think he's not doing donuts, unfortunately, but yeah, doing his version of a celebration, which is mildly spinning the steering wheel from side to side.
Martinelli there, an impressive and dominant
Definitely.
race for sure, Simon.
And a very, very well-deserved victory. He was untouchable.
Exactly. Just and this is the replay of what could be the start, maybe. No. We just on the facility. I thought we were going to see the race start again, which was an amazing race start actually.
It was a really good race start. Yeah. Is this? I'm trying to see if this is Darren Martinelli or not. I can't see
yeah, that's him.
Is it him? I can't see his face. I'm very bad at recognizing people. Yeah,
that's Martinelli. Yeah, what an amazing race actually for Martinelli. A dominant race for Martinelli there. Great race, Martinelli. And that's De Bono there, who did a good job. Unfortunately for him, it could have gone a bit better for De Bono. Thumbs up there and cheers for Martinelli, who did an amazing job there.
Yeah.
The whole practice, qualifying and race, although qualifying was not dominated by him, he did put up a good fight actually.
Well, he was very competitive in both practice and qualifying. So I think it just came down to him not, as we were discussing a little bit earlier, maybe over a single lap, maybe he was second best, but over a full race distance, untouchable.
Exactly.
He was
exactly.
on it from start to finish.
I couldn't agree with you more, Simon. The way he did the strategy, obviously, just him only. While we see other, for example, when we see other international races, you see a group of people chatting down, strategically doing laps and timings. Just him. It was just him this time. And he did the perfect strategy for today's race.
And I do think for De Bono, this is going to be one of those really important educational moments where you have to really take away, you have to look at the race and look at how it panned out, and understand the mistakes you made. Like, by far and away, the decision to not make a pit stop hurt De Bono in this race. Because after the pit stop phases, even though Martinelli had the faster car still, he did not pull the same gap he did in the first stint. He only got 10 seconds away.
And it hovered over there. So
exactly. So if De Bono kind of bit the bullet, took that time penalty during a pit stop to put on really, really fast tires like the softs, I think I can't say whether he would have won or not, because again, Martinelli just had really, really good consistency in his tires and really knew how to protect his tires to make sure they didn't overwear. So there's no guarantee that De Bono could have won this race, but I do think he would have stood a bit more of a chance.
Exactly.
Or he would have set himself up to have a bit more of a chance. Is the way to word
just throw the car at least he can. He's there.
He must have known once Martinelli got past, unless he was really hoping that Martinelli's tires would just hit that cliff and he could gain that time back. I do think he would have known that it was kind of a foregone conclusion, and that's the point where you kind of have to abandon your plans, abandon your strategy, because it's something that comes with experience. You think on your feet, and you have to be very adaptable during a race. And I think that's where De Bono might need to work on just a little bit.
Exactly. He just needs to work on strategy and choosing the right tires as well, because doing the whole race on hard wasn't the smartest of choices, my best guess.
Here's the thing. I think he's kind of unfortunate that if a different driver was trying Martinelli's strategy, I think his would have worked. But the fact that it was Martinelli, who's so good, like those soft tires went as long as other people's mediums.
Exactly.
Like he fit on the same lap as someone pitting with mediums. So
good point.
that is a skill that Martinelli has, where another driver might be a little bit worse at it. And even
Good
like I said,
point.
in the end, 10 seconds, if your tires hit that cliff 4 or 5 laps earlier, that 10 seconds is going to go like that.
Good point there, Simon.
So it is very much
If another driver tried the same strategy that Martinelli did, he would have not even finished the race, maybe. Well, Martinelli was so good on that tire strategy. It was the perfect tire and fuel strategy.
It's one of those, again, it's a really funny story when we're seeing, like when talking about the Borna, because in any other race, I think his strategy could have worked. No guarantee it could have worked, because like I said, there's always the risk that someone can come along with really good time management. But it could have worked, and I think that's going to be the most frustrating thing for him, is that it could have, it's like close but no cigar is the expression in English.
The way that it did not work is because Martinelli was so good on that first thing that he got a 30-second gap.
Yeah, I think that,
And with those 30 seconds, you can't do anything. If the gap was hovering around 20 seconds, then Martinelli could have a buffer of 10 seconds on Martinelli.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
that could maybe be enough to hold Martinelli back.
I mean, we saw in the end, the gap was 10, 11 seconds.
Exactly.
So I think this would have also helped, like we said, if the one had started on the mediums would have never lasted a full race distance. We saw his hards didn't last a full race distance.
Exactly.
So, again, maybe that's the fact of maybe choosing to not do a pit stop could have also been inexperience with long race distances.
With long race distances, because some
Like,
of the drivers never did a long race distance. It happened to me as well. Once I had a long race distance, and I chose not to pit and pit at the very end of the race. It was a bad strategy. When you don't have experience on these types of races, then yes, you can do these small silly mistakes.
I mean, he would have done long races before, but I think it's long races in cars that are very challenging, very high powered, chew through the tires very quickly. I think it's just a combination of factors that he had not experienced yet, all led to him making that one very critical decision that ultimately didn't pan out for him.
Exactly.
So I don't think we can't knock him too much. I think he drove incredibly well with the decisions he made, and to only finish 10 seconds behind a car who seemed to be more comfortable, more consistent,
and faster,
and on a better strategy.
Exactly.
I think the Bono did a brilliant job, but Martinelli did a better one.
Exactly.
Okay. I do think we are now going to cut to a small break and get some interviews.
Għanna l-top 3 ta' dal-event tal-lum, l-ewwel event nistgħu ngħidu ta' in-nies li qas ngħidulhom aħna klijenti llum parti mill-familja tas-sim racing tagħna bħalma jafu. Tajnihom l-ewwel esperjenza biex jifhmu naqra meta nagħmlu competitions ta' livell internazzjonali ikollhom naqatoma ta' fejn ħajjidħlu. Illum dawn in-nies bajtna Roma hawnhekk, grazzi lilkom tal-li tiġu hawn tkomplu tkabrulna is-sim racing u lilna biex inkomplu nikbru bħala il-World Pro Racing mhux xalli fil-pajjiż biss però anka madwar id-dinja. Illum Ruben kien l-aħħar wieħed li daħal fil-grupp għax ma kellux dik l-esperjenza, ma ħassejx li jkun fil-grupp, però sorprendejtni imma hemmiet. So mhux qed ngħid li kien persuna li kien ħażin, xtaqt li kulħadd ikun insink, però urini tajtni eżempju, dejjem nagħti l-eżempju jien imma llum urejtni illi ma jfissirx illi għax ma tkunx the fastest tista' ma tirbaħx. So il-messaġġ tiegħek lin-nies hemmhekk minn din l-esperjenza tal-lum għal ħadd ieħor li forsi qed jiddejjaq jiġi hawnhekk biex jipprova jew jidħol fis-sim racing mhux bil-forsi jiġi hawnhekk jista' jikkompeti f'dan l-isport.
Tipprova ħadd itjieb.
Ma tismax minni. Tibqa' tippuxja.
Mhux hekk.
L-ewwel esperjenza imma wara dan it-training li tagħmel iktar tagħmluhom for fun għax l-ewwel darba bid-damage. Kif kienet bħala feeling, bħala kollox għax inti trid tgħidilna dak li ħassejt illum hemmhekk mill-bidu tat-tellieqa sa l-aħħar li kont taf li dieħel fit-tielet pożizzjoni.
Illum tħoss ħafna iktar pressure għax tittoqgħod attent li ma tkissirx għax jekk tkisser taħli ħafna ħin fil-pit. Però hija darba taqbad il-fil tal-karozza tmur mhux ħażin.
Tajjeb, naħseb fit-tieni post għandna lil Beppe. Beppe ilek titrenja ftit mhux bħala karozza, però ilek tiġi mill-bidu kważi tagħna li ftaħna u l-ewwel netta parti nirringrazzjawk tal-li dejjem tiġi hawn tissapporti għalilna wkoll. Ħassejt li ħajkollok il-pożition hemmhekk tiegħek għajdilna naqra mill-esperjenza. L-ewwel esperjenza tista' tgħidilna tiegħek fid-dinja tal-xena virtuali, għax aħna nafu li inti xufier fid-dinja reali, differenti ovvjament mid-dajes fuq il-baħar. Hawnhekk inkunu fuq it-tarma kuġili anke fuq il-gravel. Għajdina naqa il-feeling tiegħek li kellek illum kumparat ma meta tagħmel xi tellieqa mal-ħbieb u llum li kontu kompetittivi, però ħadd ma rajna jiġġieled jew jirrabja, kulħadd saq flimkien, naf li żgur kien hemm xi rabja meta qattul xi ħadd jew hekk, però dak huwa parti mill-motorsport. L-esperjenza tiegħek illum?
Ħadd ħafna pjaċir, ġifieri kienet tellieqa b'trek veru sabiħa, trek komplikata. Għażilna l-istrateġija, jien għażil strateġija li nibqa' bil-tires ibsin u ma nidħolx fil-pit stop. U r-riżulta li jekk tieħu pit stop kienet tkun aħjar bħala strateġija. Però having said that ġejt it-tieni xorta ħadd pjaċir, kienet l-ewwel tellieqa uffiċjali hekk tiegħi, ġejt għalqana xraba ġifieri bil-workout ta' veru. U veru ħadd pjaċir nerġa' nkompli żgur.
Dawk in-nies li għadhom illum xettiċi li sim racing ma jaħdimx. Diġà rejtna li qed għarqan xraba ġifieri xi ħaġa jagħmel ġismek. Xi tgħidilhom in-nies li huma xettiċi mhux biex jiġu għawtaw jippruvaw, però minn persuna li daqu inti ma għandekx is-simulator id-dar u tipprepara u tipprenja kuljum, jiġri inti tista' tgħid iktar milli ngħidu aħna.
Jien nemmen li tgħin ħafna li x-simulator veru karozzi u dajes forsi tgħid li m'għandhomx jaqsmu ma l-focus li tikollok minn moħħok u l-enerġija u l-mental strength tiġi kemm fis-sim u kemm ukoll fit-tliela tar-realtà ġifieri. U kif għattilkom għandna xraba daqs li kieku soq tellieqa ta' veru.
Mela smajtuh, pruvaw dal-isport, mhux xi sport li tngħidu ikkumparat mal-motorsport li huwa mijiet ta' eluf jew eluf kbar, illum m'għandekx għalfejn bżonn simulator. Jiena meta bdejt insuq l-ewwel darba biċċa steering wheel fuq il-mejda tal-kamra tas-sodda dak kollox u bis-siġġu xi nafas il-brejk imur lil lura s-siġġu tar-roti. Però il-messaġġ tiegħek wassaltu hemmhekk prosit il-Ruben u lil Beppe u mmorru għal l-ewwel post, il-Daryl illi relaxi, ġvisek ilek tipprepara u kienet jilesta għalija. Kontenti ħafna ħna li ġibtu dan il-position, l-esperjenza tiegħek tal-ewwel competitive sim racing event.
L-esperjenza sabiħa ħafna, feelings totalment differenti mill-practice u hekk u bejn tiġi bejn l-ħbieb u hekk dina esperjenza differenti ħafna aktar tens il-konċentrazzjoni trid iżomma hemm livell ta' disċiplina fis-sewqan ukoll trid tuħsib li jkun hemm biex igawdi kulħadd ikollu inti wkollu esperjenza tajba ħafna.
L-overall feeling naħseb rajtu differenti. Meta tiġu għaw biex tagħmlu naqa' experience, ġiet tiġu naqa' tard u taraw li nirrabja, però llum ħadtu dera ta' differenti ta' kif nagħmlu event professjonali. Bil-briefing għaddej minn Adrian, kulħadd irid ikun fil-ħin, insew l-inqalaw l-intopp illum fis-servers u minn kollox, però dik hija normali. Il-messaġġ tiegħek, għax irridu messaġġ minn għandek ukoll, għax issa baqa' il-premjazzjoni ġifieri jibqgħu magħna hemmhekk, però ridna naqra feedback ta' x-xufiera eżatt kif kienu għadhom friski. Il-messaġġ tiegħek hemm barra, mhux biex tippromovi lilna, il-messaġġ tiegħek hemmhekk ġo competition bħal din professjonali. Ngħidu professjonali ma jfissirx ġifieri li ħanirbħu mit-telf jew hekk, is-serjetà tal-event sħiħ kif għandhom isiru l-affarijiet kollox kif suppost bil-penalties, etc. Għalkemm illum ma kellhomx mechanical damage, però kellhom id-damage bħalma rajtu kien hemm mispiċċa blowing. Sfortunatament hija parti mill-sim racing f'livell professjonali. Il-messaġġ tiegħek lin-nies hemmhekk wara din l-esperjenza tal-lum.
Jiena nħeġġeġ il kulħadd dak li għandu interess fil-motorsport u jixtieq jipprova anke esperjenza ġdida. Fortuna li sim racing tagħti aktar aċċessibilità għall-motorsport u il-feeling u l-esperjenza u hekk hija realistika ħafna.
Smajtu intom min irid jista' jipprova sim racing mid-dar minn fejn irid jista' jiġi hawnhekk, però aħna ma nisfurċawx nies biex jiġu hawnhekk. Aħna nużaw il-pjattaforma rFactor 2 li konna fiha llum, però ibqgħu ma' hemmhekk għaliex ħajkonna l-premjazzjoni ftit minuti oħra u ħamorru ftit lura għall-istudju ma' Edwin u Simon.
Hello and welcome back. Listening to the interviews, very exciting to see all three drivers seem to have a very, very fun experience, and they all said they'd come back, so lovely news for us.
And all three of them seem to have a perspective different from the other one. For example, Pepe De Bono immediately told Justin the same thing that we were saying, that maybe the harder option tire, doing a full race distance wasn't the quickest and smartest of ideas.
I think I was really proud of him for being able to recognize that so soon after the race. Didn't need time to like reflect and to think about it. It shows that, you know, what we were saying earlier, this experience is going to help him in the future, because now he's going to take that.
Exactly.
He's going to take what he learned here today into future races, into future competitive events, and he's going to know that, you know, maybe there are some races where a longer stint is optional, but for a race like this with such fast cars, it's not.
Of course, he will learn from this mistake that he did today, because ultimately it lost him this race. Whilst Martinelli did the exact opposite of what Pepe De Bono did. He just did everything right and everything in its place. And also for Ruben, who came in third place. Well, he did have a quiet race, but unfortunately he had an accident as well and lost a wing. Because of that, or maybe otherwise, he would have been maybe fighting for second place with Pepe De Bono. Well, who knows?
He could have been, yeah. I think watching his strategy was kind of interesting, because I don't actually remember what tires. I believe he started on the soft tires as well.
As well, yes.
So
both Martinelli and Ruben, they were on softs.
Yeah, but he didn't have that like outright right of the gate pace that Martinelli had. While Martinelli was making a gap to Beppe De Bono was making a gap to him. So even in that sense, I think that's where Ruben can really focus on, because he is a consistent driver and he is a clean driver. He did very well to keep his car on track the other day. Obviously, losing a wing, it happens. He managed. He got into the pits, got it changed, and managed to very luckily avoid the problems that what's his name? Mickey.
Mickey Mitic. Mickey Mitic.
Names like that I really struggle with, because the first and last name sound too similar. But yeah, Mitch had the issue where he pit 3-4 times trying to get his wing changed and just kept having a problem. He didn't. Ruben didn't have that, so he could get back on track, get back to his race, even if he was out of contention for a top 2 spot. He controlled his race perfectly and got that final podium spot, which ultimately is to him a very, very massive achievement.
Exactly. And the problem is as well, I mean, not all of the races that we're going to race in, you cannot do the same strategy as Martinelli did in every track. At this track, it just happened to be the perfect strategy. Doesn't mean that in another track it would be the same thing again. So
for sure, honestly, if we were racing around the track like Monaco,
exactly,
the Beppe De Bono strategy is absolutely the way to go, because you want track position.
Exactly, and by doing a pit stop and ending up in the middle of the field, Beppe De Bono's strategy could have been perfect, and just maybe chase the tires while in a safety car or something. So
yeah, I do think though, in general, for most racing situations, I do think Martinelli's strategy is the way to go. Maybe if you're on a track like the Shanghai International Circuit, which is really brutal on its tires, you'd maybe want to go medium and hard rather than soft and medium. But this is the things that you learn over experience and just getting a feel of the track. It's what practice is for. You know, you see how fast these tires wear, and you have to build your strategy based on the running and the experience you get driving in that car on that track in those conditions.
Exactly. Maybe we're on for the prize winning, maybe, or not? No,
I do believe that is what we're waiting for. I'm assuming.
Okay,
we're currently preparing for the...
We're preparing for them. Perfect.
Yes, so we're time filling. God, we're the filler. That's so rude. I'm very offended. No, I'm kidding. I mean, we get to talk about this race, and I'm perfectly fine with this. It was a very fun race. Like I said, whereas yesterday we had exciting races in terms of the battles and the way watching these women get to grips with their cars and how much they improved from the first lap of practice to the last lap of the race. This race was very different in that it's more about the strategy elements. And as you can see, like, we're still talking about the differences in strategy and how every element and every variable went into giving Martinelli this win. So it was a fun race for very different reasons than we tend to see around here, which is very close racing, very tight, very professional racing. This was more strategic, which I love because I'm a massive nerd.
and also with damage on, it was the first time that we had a race with damage on, and that plays a part as well.
We do typically race with damage here. It was the first time they were racing with
They
damage.
were racing with
So
damage.
for them, it was a new experience. But yeah,
Exactly. And, then,
just a minor clarification.
and for them to have that first time experience, that also shows how much of commitment that Martinelli did, because he knows that if he damages the car, he could end up losing the race or ultimately retire.
Yeah.
So the amount of commitment that he did to win that race, and also by overtaking De Bono and even battling with him as well, that shows the amount of commitment that he was ready to sacrifice in order to win the race.
For sure. You know, we talk about a lot. Clean racing and being able to just get your car to a finish line is the first step in winning a race. If you're been it into a wall, odds are you're not going to win that race.
Exactly.
Unless you're Hamilton, which, oops, who can win a race on three tires? Anyway, now that half the internet is going to stab me. Verstappen did it too. Calm down. But yeah, jokes aside, being able to finish a race is the most important thing. And obviously Martinelli did a brilliantly clean race. Even in the mistakes he made, he knew he was kind of tame enough to not spear himself into a wall.
Exactly.
Which, if it was a different corner where the walls were a bit closer, that mistake could have been so costly.
Of course, you could end up in the wall, and that's it. Race
definitely.
over.
I think so. Martinelli is definitely lucky in that sense, but for just that one corner, for the rest of the race, he controlled it beautifully. His skill was on point, and yeah, De Bono, again, unfortunately with the tragedy, amazing race. There's only so many times you can say it.
Exactly.
I feel the need to continually congratulate De Bono for how well he raced, despite being on the worst strategy.
Yes. Hats off, actually, though. Both of them.
To finish only 10 seconds behind Martinelli is impeccable when
Exactly.
after 10-15 minutes, Martinelli had pulled a 30-second gap. That is massive.
And also with the strategy that you have, with the strategy he had to keep the same tire. So that was a good race as well for the man. He should be proud, actually, because he finished only, as you said, 10 seconds only behind Martinelli. He should be proud. Obviously, he is. Obviously he's not happy about the race because
of course
ultimately he knew that he lost the race with the strategy. But either way, both of them a really good race.
Someone I want to talk to, Aidan Glanville, our delightful 12-year-old racer. He wasn't racing right at the front of the grid, but he showed in his battles, I believe it was against Navarro, that he did have very good car control, and he did manage to have a really good battle that we saw, and a very clean battle. So,
and he overtook Navarro with a brilliant overtake.
Yes, at the end of 10-10.
So that was a good overtake as well for Aidan Glanville.
How do you think in, let's say, short term, let's say 5 years time, if he keeps coming, if he keeps building his skill, do you think we'll see him challenging the likes of Marinelli or even people faster?
Yeah, of course. For sure, he will get better each time he goes behind the wheel of a simulator racer. Obviously, the amount of commitment that he wants to do it's up to him.
Naturally.
But I never saw him, so this is the first time I've seen Aidan Glanville.
I believe this is the first time I've seen him as well, yes.
All right, okay. Sorry about that, Simon. I have to interrupt you because presentations will be on in a few seconds' time.
Allura, mela, lura maħna hawnhekk, ħanaddu wkoll għall-preżentazzjoni ma ngħidx kelmiet żgħar. Għal ħafna minn daw ix-xufera tal-lum, ovvjament kienet l-ewwel esperjenza bħala esperjenza kompetittiva dan it-tip. Kulħadd jaf fejn forsi għandu jittrenja, nies regolari hawnhekk, fejn tistgħu timpruvjaw. Overall kienet telliqa tajba, ovvjament diġà tkellimt ma' wħud minnhom hekk mhux ma' kollha, kulħadd konxju wkoll fejn għandu jagħmel dak in-naqr iktar u x'jista' jsir, biss nixtieq ngħidilkom proset, obviously enough, good approach għall-ewwel telliqa tagħkom uffiċjali hawnhekk flimkien magħna World Pro Racing. Ħanaddu għall-premjazzjoni issa, nibdew mit-tielet post. Mela fit-tielet post għandna lil Ruben Frendo. Fit-tieni post għandna lil Beppe De Bono. Proset, well done, well done, well done. U fl-ewwel post għandna lil Mr. Martinelli. Well done, proset. Għala, proset il-kulħadd, ovvjament di l-ewwel waħda minn ħafna, ngħaddi lura l-linja l-istudio. Thank you.
Grazzi Adrian, mek mill-faċilità ta' worldproracing, qed inħossni snijat xi stazzjon mill-kbar. Ifimni, l-hemmhekk sejrin. Grazzi Adrian u nilqgħu lura wkoll l-Adrian fix-xena, rġajna wara ftit wafqin, Adrian raġa' magħna jitkellem bil-mikrofon, s-soltu aktar jitkellem u fil-mikrofon minni x'għandu leħnu. Welcome guys. Apparti ċajt. Nispera li intoġob dal-event, l-ewwel event illi ħadem hemm barra, però behind the scenes kont tisni għattusa mgerxa. Grazzi lil dawn ix-xofiera kont ngħid atleti għax huma atleti fil-verità, nies li ma jemmnux biha però huma atleti. Infatti kif smajtu intom Beppe kien arqan xraba u kien għadu jisu tant kellu eċitament li kien għadu bir-roda, ġifieri biex taraw kemm dan mhuwiex kemm toqgħod taħli l-ħin bil-qiegħda u s-suq. Beppe pereżempju juża sim racing ħafna biex ikun jista' iżomm dik ir-reaction time tiegħu għal meta jmur fl-isport. So, grazzi lilkom bħala xofiera għalkemm kien hemm min kien DNF ma ġara xejn dak huwa l-motorsport tista' llum ħabat inti, llum ħabat ħadd ieħor, għada ħabat ħadd ieħor, ma tistax tara tajt x'jista' jiġri. Min-naħa tagħkom kif kienet intom bħala esperjenza ta' drivers ġodda li ma kellhomx esperjenza għal event bħal dan.
Yeah, it was very exciting for us. We're kind of still talking about the race and the way mostly the strategy played out was for the top 2 drivers. It was very fun seeing them kind of have to adapt to new conditions, new risks with the damage model. So yeah, it was just very fun to watch them essentially get to grips with new cars.
Ready for next race?
Okay. Always. Is that a question?
L-istess ħaġa bħalma qal Simon ta' li kollok id-damage ukoll jitfak daqsxejn lura ovvjament għax tittoqgħod moħħok hemm li ma tiddamageġax il-karozza, però kont qed ngħidlu Simon il-commitment li għamlu ċertu drivers biex joħorġu all out avolja jafu li hemm id-damage u xaġa inkredibbli. Eżempju anke Beppe De Bono u Martinelli li dwellaw fl-ewwel corner ukoll wieħed jaqbeż il-ieħor jafu li għandhom id-damage hija xi ħaġa sabiħa wkoll u tellieqa overall tellieqa immens tajba bejnietom it-tnejn.
Jekk tara waħda riżultati hemmhekk hemm fir-riżults tagħna.
They have loaded.
Hemmhekk hemm jekk il-loadjaw tiegħi loadjaw li infatti sakemm tilħqu il-loadjaw tagħkom nista' nagħti ftit dettall li mhuwiex fil-pubbliku hemmhekk li jekk telatlek inti.
Iva.
Hemmhekk hemm ir-riżultati tal-lent toqqas tistgħu tarawhom. Ma tistgħux taraw ir-riżultati kollha, però nista' nsemmilkom u mbagħad ħanitkellmu fuqhom u meta noħorġu l-istatistika tagħhom li jistgħu jaraw mix-xufier ovvjament b'mod personali għalissa x'mhemm xejn fil-pubbliku. Nistgħu naraw ħafna strateġija ta' ċertu xufiera, pereżempju, ħalli ma ntawlux ħafna l-programm għax illum domna xi sija ekstra, però illum il-ġimgħa flaxija s-sibt flaxija dal-ħadd relax, so nkomplu nisimgħu naqgħu xuxin. Però tajjeb li nsemmu Daryl Martinelli dam fl-ewwel pożizzjoni baqa' fl-ewwel pożizzjoni 25 lep. Dan ġifieri wara li Beppe Lidja tlieta użam dejjem bil-hards. Ġifieri li intom semmejtu, però jekk nidħol infatti pereżempju Aidan Glenville għamel 3 pit stops. Mar fil-hard mid-dera naħseb prova jippuxja biex jagħmel full race, nimmaġina, jew idum kemm jista', u mbagħad qaleb għal medium u mbagħad qaleb għas-soft.
We had seen him with damage at one point early in the race, so I think that might have contributed to his.
Jkun li bidel it-tires dak il-ħin. Ovvjament jien ma rajtx kollox, però minn hawn nistgħu naraw kull moviment li għamel il-xufier biex taraw id-dettalji joħroġ minn dawn. Tikkumpara il-results u mbagħad daw ħanispjegawhom iktar fl-artikli li joħroġ Simon Zammit stess. grazzi għalik illi toħroġ dawn l-artikli kollha mod dettall, illum ħajkollok, mhux illum ħatanlu l-artiklu. Illum ħajkollok iktar dettall biex toħroġ iktar dettall f'din it-telliqa. U hekk ħajbdew joħorġu l-events illi noħorġu speċjalment hawnhekk bil-Maltin. Din is-sena kien il-pjan li nippuxxjaw ħafna lill-atleti Maltin u bdejna bl-ewwel 10 li bdew jikkompetu llum. Però jien ħadd pjaċir apart il-ġen li beda jsir behind the scenes, naħseb li ħadtu pjaċir. Ma nafx inti Edwin min-naħa tiegħek x'qed tistenna l qudiem, forsi hemm xi opinjoni min-naħa tiegħek li tixtieq tara fil-futur min-naħa tagħna wkoll. Even yourself.
Bħal dawn il-Formula Pro kieku sabiħ naraw championship xi darba, daqsxejn iktar close racing. Bażikament dak l-iktar ħaġa, daqsxejn iktar promotions fuqhom għax dil-Formula Pro veru kienu karozzi fast u karozzi sbieħ li tarhom fit-trek. U għalhekk forsi anke iktar nies jitħeġġu wkoll jiġu nara. Il-bija good race today. Good race.
Yeah, I think the one kind of closing note I can think of is essentially just repeating what you said, how, we want to promote Maltese athletes. And in the last 2 days, we've had 20 essentially brand new races come to our facility and take on these, the sim rigs and trying out an esports racing. So I really hope to see more of that. Maybe with new people, maybe with the people we've already seen over these 2 days, coming back to improve on their skills. Obviously, we saw at the end of last year how we had a group of 10 Maltese drivers, I think most of them were Maltese, compete in the Malta National Championship. So something like that, seeing more races like that, maybe not as professional, maybe just for casual races would be really, really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, aħna għal-kemm ikun amateur, daw drivers huma kollha amateurs, rookies. Però hemm barra aħna nuruh bħala professional event. Aħna naħdmu li kieku kien hemm l-aqwa xufiera fid-dinja, jew mhux ħanejt lar, però l-iktar nies li m'għandhomx esperjenza, l-event hemm barra ħibqa' jidher bħalma hu llum nisperaw binqas problemi behind the scenes. Però għaliex illum biex titlab bħala atleta hemm barra fil-motorsport speċjalment, through sim racing taġġel iktar. Mhux qed ngħid eżatt taġġel fil-proċess għaliex. Għax inti biex tidher hemmhekk fuq it-television xi ħaġa trid tagħmel, allura x'inhu l-unika mod biex tidher hemmhekk inti u jipprova jsibek xi ħadd. Mhux li tidher fi sports events bħal dawn. Ma naħsibx sakemm m'għandek xi miljuni ta' flus u tmur F1 dirett għax għandek il-flus, hemmhekk all right.
Eżattament.
Fimni? Shorter tikollok l-iskill anyway. Billi jkollok il-flus. Il-flus bil-flus ma ġibx l-iskill. So tipprattika. So ħajkonna events pjanati, nisperaw il-fażi tal-website wasanna fl-aħħar biex nippubblikawa events taż-żgħar tal-karting, bla dubju, hill climb, mhux ħajonqos żgur, proċessi l-oħrajn tat-trakek l-oħrajn qegħdin fil-pjan li jinbnew, inkomplu nibnuhom, kif ukoll nisa żgur bħalma kellna l-bieraħ, żgur bla dubju għax ma wafqux jgħidu biex nagħmlu xi ħaġa oħra.
Eżattament.
Ovvjament nibdew ninkludu naqgħad damage, eċċetera, biex jibdew isir naqa' practice sessions iktar biex jibdew jidrawna iktar aħjar, mhux għax huma nisa, però għax huma għadhom amateurs dan l-isport. U affarijiet oħrajn ġejjin għandna kampjonat li diġà pubblikajnih li għandu 1000 euro prize pool li ħajkun tajjeb ħafna, ħajkun kemm lokali inkluż in-nies minn barra wkoll jistgħu jikkompetu, jiġifieri kif tafu dejjem aħna din ninkludu il-lokal mhux ħanejt mal-barrani, man-nies hemm barra ġod il-pjaneta.
Eżattament.
Aħna din li jgħidu n-nies għax dak barrani m'għandu xejn aħjar, aqtawa minn ġo moħħkom. Bejn jiena u bejn barrani l-istess affarijiet qed nagħmel, l-istess intom qed tikkummentaw. X'hemm differenza? Xejn. Nuqqas ta' riżorsi, jista' jkollna iktar minnhom, però still jekk inti għandek in-knowledge ħirex minn moħħok. Aħna intom bħala kommentaturi minn moħħok qed joħroġ. Ma tix tmur, ma tix tixtri affarijiet. Tara l-ħadd ieħor tipprattika waħdek u ġejt hawnhekk, għalhekk qed inġibukom aħna, tkomplu titgħallmu, tikbru magħna. U tagħmlulna kommentarju sabiħ ukoll għax ħaqkom. You're good. Kemm inti Simon li ġejt mill-università u kemm inti Edwin li diġà kommentajt qabel ukoll fix-xena reali wkoll. Jiġifieri iva, ħalli m'għandhomux għax bħalma jafu n-nies imparla ħafna, imma dak huwa l-entużjażmu li għandna biex inwasslu programmi bħal daw, events bħal daw biex intom teħdu pjaċir. Ma nafx jekk tridux tajdu xi ħaġa tal-aħħar ħaġa qabel nagħlqu biex kulħadd ikun jista' jmur jorqod.
Good race today. Looking forward għall ġejja. Moj ħajkodna daqs iktar close racing ukoll. Daqs iktar aħjar minn tal-lum forsi close racing, imma a good race today as well.
Yeah, that's going to be something that the drivers pick up with experience. And, you know, as we've seen from other races, we've plenty of times seen really, really close racing, and we're going to see it 100 times more.
Exactly.
So I'm not worried.
Today was fun. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Edwin.
Thank you very much as well.
In-nies kollha li qegħdin behind the scenes, Adrian li qatt monitorja it-telliqa u nqawlu problemi wkoll u kellu juża simulator li ma kienx qed jintuża biex jipprova jara replays illum inqala minn kollox. Però kull den iħodu bġid, id-drivers ħadu pjaċir minn kellu DNF ma naħsibx li ħafna pjaċir, però dik hija parti mix-xena tal-motorsport. Nixtieq nirringrazzja ħafna lit TVM Sport li dejjem jissapportjawna biex nuru dawn l-events hemm barra, speċjalment il-Peter Kossaj jħossib l-isport, grazzi dejjem tas-sapport tiegħek magħna, il-kru kollu insomma, l-artikli kollha li nippubblikaw, l-sponsors kollha li jissapportjawna kieku qegħdin hawnhekk illum. Narawkom fit-tele għal jmiss, saħħa, ciao ciao, good night u bye bye.